Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Awakening failed. It doesn't matter, I am a cultivator. Chapter 76. Zhang Feng's frightened begging for mercy failed to stop Su Chen's foot from falling. A huge roar was heard in his ears, and the marble floor, centered on Su Chen's foot, shattered inch by inch. The power is amazing. But perhaps it was precisely because Su Chen moved too much that the last line of defense hanging on his waist, which was already in tatters, finally couldn't bear the power and fell away with a clatter at this moment. It seems like a giant dragon is roaring in the sky. And Zhang Feng, perhaps because he was frightened by Su Chen's foot that was close to his head and stepped on his ear, or perhaps because he was frightened by the terrifying giant thing in front of him, Zhang Feng stared in horror and screamed. Finally, he tilted his head and fainted from fright. At this moment, the whole place was dead silent. Only Su Chen opened his palms, looked at the slender wound in his palm that seemed to have been scratched by a utility knife, and fell into silence slightly. I still can't cultivate enough. Let's start the blood refining and flesh refining training immediately tomorrow. After Su Chen sighed, the host seemed to come to his senses and made a loud announcement. First place in the mock test of No. 1 Middle School, the decisive winner. Wow! In an instant, countless eyes and cameras looked at Su Chen. The gongs and drums are noisy, and firecrackers are blasting. Win! Su Chen won. Number 1 in the mock exam. The scene was filled with excitement. Did everyone see it? A boy who failed to awaken to a profession can actually get the first place in the assessment of a professional awakener. This is something that has never happened since the days of national awakening. Is Martial Dao really in decline? It's incredible that the young man who was mistakenly thought to be a degenerate boy in the past could achieve such an achievement. Shaoli covered her eyes in front of the camera, her face turned red and she shouted excitedly for everyone. Wang Hao, Sun Cheng, Zhang San, Li Si, Xiao Er, Wang Wu, Mazi, Brother Glasses and others looked at Su Chen on the stage with the cameras all pointed at him. Their expressions were extremely complicated, and they even lowered their heads with a sense of inferiority. And after Zhao Xiaoya saw Su Chen's majestic figure like a giant dragon in the sky, a feeling of extreme regret inevitably arose in her heart. As for Zhang Feng's mother, the beautiful Hong Yuyao had a blush on her face and stared straight at Su Chen with a pair of eyes, her beautiful face full of shock. At this moment, Zhang Feng's father Zhang Yangwei's face suddenly darkened, and his expression became even more ugly when he glanced at the red Jade Yao who beside him. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Su Chen. Their emotions may be different and their concerns may be different, but without exception, everyone was shocked by this scene. Even Jack, who had always been arrogant and condescending, had his eyes widened at this moment, as if he had seen his god, and spoke his native language unacceptably. Oh my God, don't look. You are not allowed to look. But soon, before everyone was shocked for long, a ray of holy light fell from the sky. Bai Ruizu ran onto the ring with a red face. Covered up for Su Chen. 1. Yang's Noodle House. Manager Liu, who was wearing a suit, his hair was neatly combed, and he was dressed most like a successful person. He stared at the LCD TV hanging on the wall of the noodle shop and murmured in disbelief. Master Zhang actually lost. Bah! The contract written in black and white was pushed back from the opposite side. Manager Liu turned his head and looked. Opposite him, the weather-beaten face of the noodle shop master Lao Yang showed an unprecedented brilliance. Manager Liu, I think we can discuss this matter later. Yeah, we won. Brother Su Chen won. So handsome. Xiaomang, your brother is so big and handsome. In the cheerleading seats of number 2 Middle School, 2 beautiful young girls in cheerleading uniforms hugged each other excitedly, jumping and dancing, screaming in surprise. Xiaomang, Goddess Xiao Yu is so happy, is she celebrating for me? On a stage not far from the two of them, a young man wearing a red cape and holding a spear looked in the direction of the sound, and couldn't help but feel a little proud in his heart. It seems that he, the strongest spear warrior in No. 2 Middle School, will soon conquer the goddess with his invincible figure and take her home. I just don't know how my good friend Sun Cheng is doing now. Has he also entered the finals like me and is about to get the girl? I think it should be fine. Good boy. Martial Dao Juhue, skin like jade. As expected of a martial Dao prodigy that is rare in a century, just relying on this terrifying capital like a giant dragon in the sky, it is enough to suppress his peers. Even at my age with a stable state of mind, I can't help feeling inferior when I see it. It's really hard to imagine how broken the Dao hearts of your peers will be after seeing this video if it spreads out today. In the luxurious villa in the city lord's mansion, the old housekeeper looked at the scene of Su Chen winning in front of the camera and couldn't help but smack his lips in admiration. He crushed the professionals of the same class with his pure martial arts body. Reached the top of the mock exam. This kind of thing has never happened since the era of universal awakening. He could almost imagine what kind of uproar this video would cause after it was spread out today. But fortunately, at least my young lady. Wait. Suddenly, the old housekeeper seemed to have thought of something. He seemed to have just transferred the live broadcast room to Leng Ruiyu. Thinking of this, the old housekeeper looked at the horrific picture in the live broadcast room again, and finally jumped up and screamed out without any grace. Wait, miss, don't open it. There is a big horror in the live broadcast room. Ah, in the cold and silent retreat room, the girl's screams came, and the live broadcast room picture that had just lit up on the big screen opposite was quickly turned off. Drip, drip, ice blue water drops dripped into the bathtub along the ice crystals above. In the quiet retreat room, the girl's rapid panting came. Leng Ruiyu's face was red and hot, her hair was messy, and there was still a little confusion and fright in her eyes. The coldness and arrogance of the past disappeared at this moment. She didn't expect that she would be ridden by a flying dragon as soon as she turned on the holographic projection. Who wouldn't be scared? Stand up without fear. Beep beep beep. At this time, the news that the old housekeeper was worried about came. Miss, you haven't opened the live broadcast room yet, right? Leng Ruiyu, who was still in shock, came back to her senses. She exhaled a breath of fragrance from her delicate pink lips, and her little face, which was still flushed, regained her former coldness again. She replied in a flat tone. No, really, of course not. What's wrong, old housekeeper, is there any problem? No. In the living room, the old housekeeper was a little stunned. He had already made the worst plan just now, but he didn't expect that his young lady hadn't opened the live broadcast room yet. It's good that there is no, miss, I'm actually here to inform you that you don't need to open the live broadcast room anymore. Just now, the first place in the mock exam of No. 1 middle school has been decided. The winner is Su Chen. Oh, is that so? Leng Ruiyu pretended not to know and answered. She looked down at her beautiful face reflected in the tears of the deep sea. When listening to the report of the old housekeeper, the corners of her crystal lips unconsciously raised a faint smile. A rare martial Dao genius in a century, martial Dao Juhui has skin as white as jade, which is beyond my expectation. But it's not enough. If you want to catch up with me, it's far from enough. The mock exam is just a fight between schoolmates. Su Chen hopes that you can practice well during this period and become stronger. In 3 months, we will meet on the battlefield of Jojo College entrance examination. At that time, I hope you can stay on the battlefield for a while and look up at my back. Su Shen, Su Shen, Su Shen. Deafening sounds rang out in the martial arts field of Baiyun No. 1 middle school. Countless students shouted excitedly and cheered for Su Chen, especially the screams of some female students. Totally conquered. The sound is rolling. Lost. Zhang Feng lost. In such an atmosphere, on the auditorium, where the class teacher was sitting, Wang Meng, the class teacher of Class 1, was lost in thought for a moment, his eyes widened, and he suddenly became excited. Zhang Feng has lost, so wouldn't it be me? He remembered the bet he made with his class teacher Su Chen. He was so scared that he quickly covered his butt. Look left and right. Fortunately, Lao Chen had to go back to the office for something urgent, otherwise I would have stuck my butt out now. Not good. Old Li, why are you going? However, before Wang Meng could relax, he suddenly found Li Min leaving his seat and running towards the faculty and staff office with an excited look on his face. Wang Meng suddenly became anxious. He also quickly stood up, covered his butt and ran outside. It seemed that he couldn't afford it and wanted to break the contract. Guang Yao, why are you here? It's different from the noise outside. At this moment, the faculty and staff office is filled with the smell of newly released test papers. Su Chen's class teacher, Chen Guangzong, looked at the unexpected visitor who opened the door and walked in, his pupils suddenly dilated. The person who came was a middle-aged man. He was wearing a white suit, gold-rimmed glasses, his hair was meticulously combed, and he looked quite handsome, giving people a refined and easy-going feeling. It's hard to imagine that Su Chen, a class teacher with a beer belly and a Mediterranean style who sits behind a desk, would know such a man who seems to be completely different from two worlds and two styles of painting. However, what surprised Wang Tang on the side even more was the middle-aged man's address to the class teacher Chen Guangzong. "Brother, long time no see. I miss you, can't you come and see me?" Chen Guangyao looked at Chen Guangzong's Mediterranean Sea with a faint smile on his lips. "It seems that you have suffered a lot these years, brother." The two are actually brothers. "Are you here just to laugh at me?" Chen Guangzong lowered his head, his voice suddenly became very dull, and he showed an expression that Wang Tang had never seen before, a look of depression that he had never shown in front of this group of students. I respect you very much, brother. You used to be the hope of our Chen family, the greatest genius. My father relied on you. My little sister respected you. My mother was proud of you. Even my little brother and I used you as an example. All the children in the family trust you and believe in you. Chen Guangyao looked down at Chen Guangzong with a calm voice and a faint smile on his lips. "I still remember the words you said on the day your awakening failed, brother. So what if I'm a teacher? So what if the awakening fails? Even if it's not a combat profession. It's not a high-level and powerful profession, so what if it's just an ordinary people's teacher? You will still be the hope of our Chen family and revitalize the family's glory. Honor your ancestors and make your family famous. You will teach countless outstanding students, and they will be all over the world. We all believed in you at that time, even my mother believed in you before she died. But now 30 years have passed, and the Chen family has already gone through the most difficult period under my leadership. And what about you, eldest brother?" Chen Guangyao put his hands on his desk, leaned forward, and said. Kang Ran's deep eyes revealed a cold color. "Where are the students you taught?" I. Facing Chen Guangyao's questioning gaze, Chen Guangzong lowered his head. His fists were clenched and trembling. This was not anger, but an extreme guilt that made him dare not faced with his brother's questioning. Ha. Chen Guangyao chuckled and did not pursue the question any further. He glanced at Wang Tang casually from the corner of his eye and continued. "Brother, I understand you. Career awakening is not only about talent, but also full of a lot of randomness. You are forced to come to such a small place with a big pond. If the people are not outstanding and the land is not efficient, a flood dragon cannot be raised in the pond. I understand you. So, I heard someone report this time that among the students of this class, there is an eldest brother who has taught the best, the most outstanding and the most proud students in the 30 years of teaching, and is preparing for professional awakening. I cancelled all activities that day. I flew here all the way from Qingzhou just to see with my own eyes what the best students you teach are like, big brother. But just a few days ago, I hadn't landed yet. I just heard someone report to me again that you, the most outstanding and proud student, failed to awaken. Not even as good as you were back then. He has no awakening to any profession at all, he is a complete useless person. Well, with such achievements, no wonder it took so long that the Qingzhou sovereign clan almost forgot about you being demoted here." Feeling that the atmosphere in the office was getting worse and worse, it seemed that some huge secret was about to be revealed. Wang Tang, who knew that the more he knew, the sooner he would die, took advantage of this gap and said something cautiously. Then, teacher, if nothing happens, I'll leave first. Etc. Chen Guangzong stopped Wang Tang. He took a deep breath and put aside Chen Guangyao's arrival. After his expression returned to Wang Tang's familiar appearance as a class teacher, he faced Wang Tang's earnest advice. "Wang Tang, don't you think about it anymore. Although your awakened profession is just a screwdriver, your academic performance is very good. Except for Su Chen, you have always been the best in liberal arts in our class. Are you really going to drop out of school and not consider taking the literary exam?" After the era of national awakening, the default college entrance examination is naturally the martial arts examination. But under the martial arts test, On the same day, there will also be a national liberal arts examination that does not attract so many people's attention and is not such a big scene, but it is also undercurrent and extremely competitive. If you do well in the exam, you can also stand out. Chen Guangzong's persuasion made Wang Teng silent for a while. His handsome face wore a pair of large black spectacles. His eyes were drooping and looking at the ground. There was a flash of fluctuation in them, but they soon returned to gray and seemed very numb. Shook his head without any hope, and said with a bitter smile on his lips, "Teacher Chen, thank you for your kindness. It's just that I have thought clearly that low-level professionals like us have no chance to turn around. The literary test is for those whose occupations are experts, scholars, professors, researchers, scientists, and other higher-level lives. It is prepared for professionals, not for people like me who are screwdrivers. And something happened at home recently. I'm afraid I don't have the heart to take the literary test again." Wang Teng's answer made Chen Guangzong sigh, and he nodded feebly. "All right." Chen Guangzong opened the small drawer on the left side of his desk and said with a sad sigh, "Forget it about that boy Dragon King. He secretly read novels in class all day long. Now he quits school and works as a security guard. It can be regarded as his wish. But you, Yi Fan and Su Chen, you three are my favorites among the boys. But now I have failed in my career awakening. I don't have any career. I have fallen from a genius to a god and am laughed at by thousands of people. One dropped out of school to deliver food and move bricks at a construction site. Now you have to drop out of school and go to the factory to make screws. Haha, I really failed as a teacher." Chen Guangzong also shook his head bitterly and laughed, with tears shining in the corners of his eyes. Chen Guangyao stood aside and watched this scene with interest. "Wang Teng, this is the qi and blood pill given to you by the school. Every student has a part to play. The two boys, Yi Fan and Dragon King, were so anxious that I didn't even have time to hand it over to them. If you have time, please hand it over to them for me. By the way, give them a message for me. Hold on and don't give up on yourself. I always believe that the awakening profession cannot determine one's life according to one's own ideas. As long as you work hard and persevere, you will definitely see hope." Chen Guangzong walked out from behind the desk. He put 3 reagent tubes containing qi and blood pills into Wang Teng's hands, patted Wang Teng on the shoulder and gave him the final words of advice. Chen Guangyao on the side burst out laughing after hearing this, not knowing what it meant. Wang Teng took the qi blood pill, pursed his lips, nodded and said thank you, and was about to turn around and open the door to leave. Thump! The door to the office was suddenly pushed open by someone from outside. One. Old Chen wins. Li Min ran in, his face red, and he yelled like crazy. "Oh, are the results of the mock test out?" Chen Guangyao raised his eyebrows and suggested to Chen Guangzong with a playful smile. "Brother, why don't we go out and take a look together? I know I won. Isn't it just a matter of sticking your butt up? I can go over there right now." Chen Guangzong was not angry either and shouted at Li Min. "This old guy just likes to watch the fun. The last time I got my ass kicked, this old guy was the one who laughed the most." It's not Lao Chen, you may have misunderstood. I didn't mean that Lao Wang won." Li Min was stunned for a moment, then realized that Chen Guangzong might have misunderstood, and quickly explained. "If Wang Meng didn't win, who won? Could it be that I won?" "Yes, you won. Su Chen won. Number 1 in the school." Li Min shouted, his face turned red, and his expression was extremely excited, which stunned the 3 people in the office. "What, old Li, what did you say? Who do you think won? Who is first in the school?" Chen Guangzong's beer belly shook, and he quickly shook old Li's shoulders to confirm. "Su Chen. It's Su Chen who wins, it's Su Chen from your class. Crush all the professionals including Sun Chang, Wang Hao, and Zhang Feng, and rank first in the school's mock test. Chen Guangzong, go kick that big boss Wang Meng's ass, he may have to run away now." After getting Lao Li's confirmation, Chen Guangzong only felt a roar in his head and couldn't remember what happened next. After shaking off Lao Li from his hand, he quickly pushed open the office door and ran all the way to the corridor. Wow, the noisy and boiling sound coming from the martial arts arena rushed towards my face. From a distance, he saw the huge live broadcast screen. The holy light dispersed. Su Chen, who had put on a black anima suit, appeared. Zhang Feng, the former recognized strongest A-level professional in number 1 middle school, was stripped down to only a pair of underwear and was lying dead at Su Chen's feet. Congratulations to Su Shen, let's continue the good old days mythical. Secondly, ranked first in the exam. With a non-professional person using pure martial arts, he defeated the prodigy awakened people in the same class. This kind of achievement is truly unheard of. The voice of Su Chen, who was announced as the number 1 in this year's mock test, came from the direction of the martial arts field. Like a sonic bomb, Chen Guangzong's face turned red and he shouted excitedly. 1. Su Chen wins. Ha ha ha, what a great boy. Chen Guangyao, who was also standing in the corridor, frowned slightly as he looked at the handsome young man on the screen. Su Chen really won. As a person who failed to awaken and is unemployed, I defeated Sun Chang, Wang Hao, Zhang Feng and others by relying on martial Dao, and ranked first in the mock test. Wang Teng opened his eyes wide and looked at Su Chen's figure on the screen in disbelief. However, the corner of his mouth unconsciously opened into a smile, revealing 8 big white teeth. Something seemed to be slowly rising in his originally dark and dull eyes. Su Chen's victory was announced. Fireworks, gongs and drums sounded, creating a huge atmosphere of celebration. Billy Billy beep. A communication sound sounded from a certain blonde gringo. Jack, how is the situation now? If my estimate is correct, Su Chen's perfect impression in Ruizu's heart should have been shattered long ago. Okay, tell Ruizu not to be too sad. As the future high priest of Saintess of my Temple of Light, she is not from the same world as that kind of waste who failed to awaken. Let the past be bygones. In the future, it won't take too long. It will only take 3 months, during the National College entrance examination, for her to see what a real prodigy gathering is, with all the stars shining. By then, I, the Temple of Light, will carefully the prodigies we have trained will also fight together. At that time, she will know that Su Chen's so-called excellent achievements are not worth mentioning in front of the real prodigy, and they are not worthy of her nostalgia. They are just a little toad under the well. So bring Ruizu back quickly. Don't let her comfort Su Chen, that unawakened waste. It's a waste of time. Why not come back quickly to absorb the divine liquid of light? Next, I will take her to start the rank 2 training immediately. During this period, she may be with other people. When the young and powerful family members meet these real geniuses, she should also be able to figure it all out and have clear ideas. Quote. Forehead. Old Madame Lu's confident voice sounded on the other end of the phone. After hearing these words, Jack was silent for a while. Then he looked at Bai Ruizu, who was hanging on Su Chen's arm and receiving cheers from everyone on the ring. After thinking about it, he decided to do it. He said in a broken Kyushu language. Guardian Lu, if you want to comfort Miss Ruizu, I don't think it's necessary. She's happy now. Very happy. Yes, that loser who failed to awaken in your mouth was not eliminated in the first round as you expected. But, we won in the end. Jack told the truth with an extremely ugly face. And according to the agreement, we can't interfere with her daily life now. What? Old Madame Lu on the opposite side was stunned for a moment after hearing this, and asked as she suspected that she had misunderstood. Jack, who do you think won in the end? Who won in the end? Listen to it for yourself. Jack swung his cell phone forward. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Our Baiyun number 1 middle school mock exam, at this moment, officially comes to an end. Let us all congratulate Su Shen for winning the previous mythical title and winning the first place in this year's mock test with his pure martial arts skills. Next, let's distribute the reward to Su Shen for ranking first in this mock test. Under the arena in front, warm cheers rose to the sky. Boom. Old Madame Lu on the other side of the phone suddenly widened her eyes after hearing this. What the hell? First of all, 100 chi and blood pills are specially provided by the school. The old principal with a long white beard walked over with a cheerful smile. He was holding a bright red safe in his hand. The safe is open. The blood is fragrant. There are 100 round, red and plump chi and blood pills placed inside. Su Chen, teacher, I really didn't expect you to be able to do this. Impressive. I hope these 100 Qi and blood pills can help you reach a higher level and achieve excellent results in the next college entrance examination. The principal patted Su Chen on the shoulder and said some words of encouragement. It was obvious that the old man was very happy. Su Chen was the treasure of their number. One middle school in the past and had brought glory to their number. One middle school in countless competitions. He had high hopes for him and treated him as his best child. He also didn't want to see Su Chen fall into the quagmire after failing in his awakening. But it doesn't seem to matter now, because of the once-in-a-century martial Dao wizard. Martial Dao's skin is as beautiful as jade, which is really unexpected. With such a talent, it is impossible for the martial Dao alliance to just sit back and ignore him. Even the only daughter of the Zhao family in the ring will immediately be tempted to offer him an olive branch. The old principal glanced in Zhao Qian's direction. Although martial Dao is now in decline and far inferior to the professional awakeners, in the National College entrance examination 3 months later, Su Chen, who can only practice martial arts, may suffer a big loss in front of Kyushu's truly powerful professional prodigy and may not even be ranked. Quote, but with the support of the martial Dao alliance, Su Chen won't do too badly no matter what in the future. After all, due to the great contribution it made in the early days of the era of national awakening, although martial Dao has declined, the status of the martial Dao alliance in Kyushu is extremely high. Especially those 9 supreme great grandmasters. No matter what the leaders of the sovereign clan emperor clan think, they can only be respectful when facing them. Martial Dao alliance, you don't have to worry about eating and drinking. With such a behemoth as a support, no matter what, there is no need to worry about training resources in the future. So now the old principal is very happy that Su Chen can award the first place award like in the past. Thank you, principal. Su Chen took the safe. Although he was a little surprised that someone knew about Pai Ruyu, it was just what he wanted and saved him from having to make excuses. A rare martial Dao wizard in a century, I will accept this title. However, this is just the beginning. Su Chen raised the corners of his mouth and looked beyond the principal into the distance, with a ray of light bursting out of his eyes. I will go higher and further in the future, thousands of years, 10,000 years. Only in this way can he be sure to suppress all demons and ghosts in the final college entrance examination. A Qi and blood pill has the same Qi and blood content as 10 wild boars. It is a great tonic for the martial artist. Su Chen already has a once-in-a-century martial Dao talent, and now he has obtained 100 Qi and blood pills. Eat it all, that'll be fine. Can we still beat him if this continues? Zhang San, Li Si and others, who were eliminated in the first round, became anxious after seeing Su Chen's Qi and blood pills. Wang Hao and Sun Chang, who had reaffirmed their faith and cheered up, could not help but grit their teeth. Of course, what they care about is not the 100 Qi and blood pills in Su Chen's hand. Rather, don't forget that the first place in the mock exam will be rewarded with the pill of Qi and blood. There is also a mysterious grand prize worth an additional 100 million. Although I don't know what the so-called mysterious grand prize of 100 million is, I don't need to think about it. I know that if it is worth 100 million, it will definitely not be a simple treasure. It is at least a natural treasure with rank 3 or above. This is the big deal, even they are reluctant to buy it. But now it was taken away by Su Chen. I don't know what kind of treasure it is and how much help it can give Su Chen. If it's really something rare, that would be terrible. Under the anxious gaze of Wang Hao, Sun Cheng and others, Zhang Feng's father, Zhang Yangwei, took the microphone handed over by the host. He first glanced at Su Chen with an unkind look, then regained his expression and spoke slowly to the camera. I know that everyone is very interested in the mysterious grand prize provided by Zhang Group for the first place. However, this prize is too valuable, so I put it in the safe and did not take it out and bring it to the scene. So it's a pity that I can't show it to you directly. But please rest assured, as we all know, I, Zhang Yangwei, always do things with spit and nail. The Zhang Group has always been based on credibility, and it is impossible to default on debts. Even if our once-in-a-century martial arts prodigy took off my son's clothes and stood here, our Zhang Group will not find any excuse to make things difficult for us to retaliate. I will happily hand over the grand prize to our martial Dao wizard in 2 days without any deliberate delay. Quote, Everyone can supervise together. Now, please let me go and see how my child is doing. He is still in a coma. After Zhang Yangwei spoke frankly, he gave Su Chen a final cold glance, then returned the microphone and walked towards Zhang Feng, who was surrounded and pinched by the medical team on the other side of the ring. Tisk. Su Chen clicked his tongue. Not being able to get the mysterious grand prize of 100 million right away really made his expectations a bit in vain. He really wanted to say, if you can't afford it, don't give it. Why are you delaying? But when he thought that the person who said this was Zhang Feng's father, he seemed to understand instantly. Like son, like father. Zhang Feng is like that. It's not incomprehensible that Zhang Feng's father can do such a thing. As for whether Zhang Yangwei will be a swindler and continue to default on the mysterious grand prize that is due to him, Su Chen didn't think so either. After all, it was broadcast live in front of the entire city's audience. Su Chen felt that no matter how good Zhang Feng's father was, he probably wouldn't be shameless enough to go back on his word. The specific situation will be known in 2 days. Ha ha ha. Deserve it. You really deserve it. Su Chen didn't get the grand prize immediately, but Sun Cheng and Wang Hao both laughed. It's best if Zhang Feng's father can be as shameless as Zhang Feng and continue to default on this grand prize indefinitely so that Su Chen will never get this 100 million. I'm so worried about him. After getting back on their feet, both of them figured out a problem. That is, what is the most important thing for a practitioner? Is it talent? Of course not. No matter how talented a person is, how can he grow without the resources to cultivate him? How about the martial Dao genius that Su Chen only encounters once in a century? It sounds awesome, but he is alone. He does not have the support of a big family or a powerful force behind him. He cannot obtain high-level resources. How far can he go in the future? We lost to you this time because we were careless and did not use the family to prepare for us in advance, training resources. As soon as I got home, I started taking drugs. Wait for the second mock test in a month, a joint competition between the 9 schools, and let's see who is the dragon and who is the worm. Sun Cheng and Wang Hao stood under the ring with their arms folded and their faces full of comfort. Especially Sun Cheng, who was wearing a tattered green cloak, his eyes were filled with joy. Before the mock exam started, he had made an agreement with his good gay friend Cheng Yang from No. 2 middle school to meet at the top. As a result, he was eliminated by Su Chen in the first round of melee. Just now he had received a gift from his good gay friend. According to the news, he has reached the finals and is about to get his goddess back. How is the situation here? He didn't even dare to reply to the message at that time. And now, hee. Seeing that Su Chen didn't immediately get the mysterious grand prize worth 100 million, Sun Cheng couldn't help but laugh happily. It's worth 1 million. Is 100 chi and blood pills a lot? I'm not talented, my family is not very rich, they are just an ordinary family in Baiyun City, but it is no problem to spend 8 to 9 billion to buy several rank 3 rank 4 cultivation resources. So Su Chen, are you good at fighting? When you come out to hang out, you have to talk about power and background. Turns out he's an idiot. Sun Cheng and Wang Hao sang and harmonized, which made them awesome. The ghost lingers. It's really haunting. A loser who has no awakened profession has been pestering me about what the future saintess of the Temple of Light means. I will rush over and crush him to death with my own hands. On the viewing platform, on the other end of the phone, after hearing the various sounds of Su Chen's first place in the mock test and various awards, Mrs. Liu couldn't help but become angry, and she could vaguely hear the sound of the entire hall shaking. But, Master Protector, if you want to come over and crush him to death, I'm afraid you can't. Jack suddenly said this. Quote. Lu Yun on the opposite side was stunned, and the rioting and terrifying aura on his body stopped at this moment, and he asked doubtfully. Why? Because the Martial Dao Alliance takes action. Jack looked towards the ring, where Zhao Qian was walking towards Su Chen. Classmate Su Chen, we meet again. I wonder if you are interested in joining our Martial Dao Alliance. Zhao Qian stretched out a white jade hand in front of Su Chen and spoke straightforwardly. Martial Dao Alliance. Su Chen raised his eyes. Wow, Zhao Qian's sudden invitation shocked the whole place. Although Martial Dao has declined, the Martial Dao Alliance is not the strongest organization in Kyushu in terms of strength. Just talk about status. But it is above all official organizations. The location is extremely high. At the same time, he was also extremely rich. As we all know, those who join the Martial Tao Alliance may not be very strong, but if they want to practice, they will never lack resources. Every month, a certain amount of salary will be given to the martial artists in the alliance based on their strength. Various rare resources can be exchanged based on contribution, so you can almost get whatever you want. If it weren't for the strict entrance rules of the Martial Tao League, which only accepts martial artists, there would be countless professional awakeners who would have to squeeze in to get in. It is easy to enjoy the shade with your back against a big tree. In a sense, the Martial Tao Alliance is the tallest tree in Kyushu. No, sir, Sun Chang and Wang Hao couldn't stand it anymore. Just now they said they wanted to talk about their background, but now they feel that Su Chen's background is greater than theirs. Su Chen, you have Pai Ruyu among the 9 unique skills of Martial Tao. You are extremely talented. You are a Martial Tao wizard who is rare to see in 100 years. Join our Martial Tao Alliance. I will apply to the Alliance to give you the highest treatment. 10 billion in welcome bonus for joining the Alliance. A villa in the Imperial Capital. Plus a rank 5 training resource. More than 90% of the inherited skills in the Alliance are open to you. You can also receive 100 million in pocket money from the Alliance every month from now on. Zhao Qian kept talking about the preferential conditions for inviting Su Chen to join the Martial Tao Alliance. Everyone who heard this was stunned. Ha, ha, ha. What is this? How much pocket money does it cost every month? Welcome to join the Alliance with 10 billion yuan. I remember that the total assets of Mr. Zhang's family are only 10 billion yuan. No, there is also a villa in the Imperial Capital. Rank 5 training resources. I have never seen them in the Baiyun City Chamber of Commerce in my whole life. Zhang San, Li Si, Sun Chang, Wang Hao and others couldn't bear it anymore. The corners of their mouths kept twitching and their expressions were extremely jealous and twisted. They wished they were the ones receiving Zhao Qian's invitation at this moment. Now I've really become a little yakuza. It's just that it's not Su Chen but them. Even Su Chen was surprised by the generous conditions of the Martial Tao Alliance, but considering the current situation of Martial Tao, he could also understand the Martial Tao Alliance's thirst for talent. Martial Tao is a rare talent in the year. Martial Tao is an extraordinary talent. His skin is like jade. It's worth the price. Zhao Qian smiled and said it frankly. By joining the Martial Tao Alliance, you can not only have a big force to rely on, you can also get a lot of pocket money and various martial arts inheritances. Although he is a cultivator with perfect body tempering skills and currently has no shortage of cultivation techniques, but the cultivation resources in the Martial Tao Alliance, as well as the systematic Martial Tao teaching and experience, are indeed what I need now. Especially since he is currently in the great accomplishment of skin refining and will soon undergo flesh refining. The blood refining process consumes a lot of training resources. Just 100 qi and blood pills may not be enough. In addition, there are various aspects of tempering such as the muscles and bones, internal organs, etc., which all require resources. So after thinking about it for a while, Su Chen decided. I already have the answer in my heart. After all, the Lone Ranger does have a lot of inconveniences in this world, and the Martial Tao Alliance has offered him such generous offers, and he has no reason to refuse. But before that, please let me ask a question. What's the price? What do I need to do after joining the Martial Tao Alliance? Su Chen asked the core question. He has so many secrets that heaven-swallowing demon technique doesn't even dare to use them. If he joins the Martial Tao Alliance and is monitored and supervised in the future, forget it. It will only slow down his cultivation progress. Regarding Su Chen's worries, Zhao Qian shook his head. If ordinary people join the Martial Tao Alliance, they will naturally have certain requirements. But you don't need it, Su Chen. You have Pai Ruyu, one of our top talents from Martial Tao, who is a rare martial arts wizard in a century. Not only will our Martial Tao Alliance not place any restrictions on you, but we will strongly support your practice and meet your various practice requirements without any cost. Quote. But if we talk about conditions, there is only one. I hope that after you enter the Alliance, your first choice will be to join our Zhao family. Join your Zhao family, Su Chen said with doubts in his tone. How to join? Could it be a marriage? Bai Ruizu on the side suddenly showed a wary look. After all, the Guwu family likes to play this trick the most. Wow! As soon as this kind of statement appeared, it immediately caused an uproar in the crowd, especially Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Hao, Sun Cheng and other male classmates, whose faces turned green with jealousy. Gain both wealth and wealth. What a pinnacle of life this is. Ah, no. Zhao Qian glanced subconsciously between Su Chen's legs. His face was a little red, but he still kept his tone as calm as possible and said, although the Martial Dao Alliance is one entity externally, it is divided into 9 major factions internally. These 9 major factions are the 9 major forces headed by the 9 Supreme Great Grand Masters. 4 major families and 5 major sects. The 4 major martial Dao families, including the Zhao family, and the 5 major martial Dao sects represented by the Vajra Temple and Jade Maiden sect, are the main forces that constitute the 9 major factions of the Martial Dao Alliance. The rest of the people who later joined the Martial Dao Alliance will basically be affiliated with these 9 major factions. 9 major factions compete with each other. So I just hope that after you enter the Martial Dao Alliance, you can choose to join our Zhao family. So, that's it. Su Chen nodded with a clear expression, and then he asked the last question that he was slightly concerned about. Martial Dao Ju Ju Tian, I wonder which one Ji Yu Wu Zhao family is. Blood Phoenix. Zhao Qian did not hide this. I, the Zhao family, have inherited the secret method. Although it is not completely compatible with your skin-like jade talent, I see that your talent has awakened the great accomplishment, and there is almost no need for acquired development. I, the Zhao family, are fully capable of cultivating you. I will also provide you with generous benefits. Whatever the details are, I will introduce you to Grandpa, and he should be very happy to accept you as his direct disciple. As he spoke, Zhao Qian took out his mobile phone and seemed to be dialing a certain phone number. Some people who knew about it couldn't help but use foul language. Zhao Qian is the only daughter in the Zhao family, so isn't her grandfather the same? Extremely. Blank. Wang Hao and Sun Cheng really didn't know what to say, so they could only use this word to express their thoughts. Obviously, in comparison, these high-level professionals have more prospects. But just because of Su Chen's rare title, they were brought down. As the gap between people so big, if Su Chen became a disciple of a Supreme Great Grand Master, wouldn't it be like taking off on the same spot and riding a rocket ascension? How could they fight with Su Chen in the future? After all, the ultimate Great Grand Master is a man comparable to rank 5. He is even stronger than Lang Wudi, the Lord of Baiyun City, and rank 1. No matter how Martial Dao declines, with such a strong man protecting him, in their Baiyun City, Su the Dust must not move sideways. I'm so awesome. Even Su Chen's good friend Zhao Gang couldn't help but fall silent at this moment. He vaguely seemed to see a thick and invisible layer of sad barriers that was about to form between him and Brother Chen. Zhao Xiaoya said nothing more at this time. She had been determined to marry into a wealthy family since she was a child. After learning that Su Chen failed to awaken, she immediately chose to break up with Su Chen. However, she did not expect that Su Chen turned out to be a rare martial Dao wizard in a century. 9 unique skin is like jade. Now, not only was she invited by her cousin from the Zhao family to join the Martial Dao League, she enjoyed the highest high-level treatment. The entry reward is 10 billion and a luxurious villa in the imperial capital. The monthly pocket money is hundreds of millions. Now it is more likely that they will be accepted as a direct disciple by the ancestor of their Zhao family. There are several richer families in the world than this. Father, not like this. That's not what you said then. You just said that he has a good talent. He will be born in 10 years. In the future, he will work hard to practice for 30 to 50 years to break through to the realm of rank 2 martial master. You did not say that he is a martial Dao wizard who is rare in a century. Zhao Xiaoyame. Her eyes were red, and she looked at Zhao Yu with tears of regret in her eyes. Endless regret overwhelmed her. If I had known that Su Chen was so powerful, why would I have broken up with him then? I should be the one standing next to him now. Zhao Yu was also a little embarrassed by his daughter's questioning. He doesn't know. He doesn't know either. In the end, what happened? What happened in just 10 days, and how did Su Chen become a once-in-a-century martial Dao wizard? He can't understand it either. He really can't understand it. Zhao Yu said nothing. While Zhao Qian was on the phone, Su Chen narrowed his eyes, drooped, and thought for a moment. Join the ancient martial arts Zhao family, and you can become a disciple of Zhu Ding. This condition is indeed very tempting to ordinary people, but to Su Chen, it is something that needs to be carefully weighed. Apprenticeship is not important. After all, if you are trying to pull off a tiger's skin to do big things, it will be convenient if you have someone above you. The main problem is that even though he is just skinny like Jade now. But next, he will practice perfect physical training, meat training, blood refining and other aspects. Not only will his skin be like Jade, but he will also become the 9 unique flesh idols in Zhao Xiaoya's mouth, the blood phoenix. If this kind of change happened and no one paid much attention to it now, he could have said in Versailles, I don't know what the situation is. It just happened with practice. Maybe this is talent. Single quote. Others don't know what's going on, so even if they have doubts, they can only accept his explanation. But if you become a master, I'm afraid it will be more troublesome to explain when other 9 talents appear in the future. This is what Su Chen is worried about. But what to do next, whether to take Zhu Ding as his disciple, we have to see what kind of conditions the Zhao family can offer him, and then it's not too late to make plans. Toot toot. What happened? I can't get through. Could it be that Grandpa didn't bring his mobile phone? Zhao Qian frowned slightly. Her grandfather still didn't answer the phone, which made her look a little anxious. Su Chen's 9 talents are Pai Ruyu. And their Zhao family is not this branch, on the contrary, Jade Maiden sect is. The Jade Skin talent is almost as important to Jade Maiden sect as the Blood Phoenix is to their Zhao family. She is the core candidate of destiny. Zhao Xiaoya has no doubt that after Su Chen's talent is exposed, people among the Jade girls will use despicable beauty traps to deceive Su Chen. Then consider Su Chen Seppi's character. Zhao Qian knew without thinking that Su Chen would definitely fall into it and be unable to extricate himself. After all, how could a pervert with a little sister in his family not like the atmosphere of Jade Maiden sect, which is full of beauties? Therefore, while Jade Maiden sect still doesn't know about Su Chen's existence, it is the right solution to quickly take Su Chen and add him to their Zhao family. But at this critical moment, my grandfather was not here and could not give specific terms for winning over. This is a bit embarrassing. But don't worry, Su Chen. You also know that Grandmaster, a great Grandmaster of ancient martial arts from the past era, doesn't like to use modern technology very much. He usually travels by foot. I like Chinli Telecom on weekdays, so it's normal not to bring my mobile phone. I'll call my dad right now. He can still make the decision. Under Su Chen's thoughtful gaze, Zhao Qian explained, then walked to the side anxiously and dialed another phone number. ... I'm so angry. It really pisses me off. Those old ladies in Jade Maiden sect really have no shame. Imperial City, Zhao family. In a quaint ancient-style building complex. In the central living room, a middle-aged man in tang suit was shaking with anger. The man is tall, with a pair of tiger eyes, and he is very powerful. The energy and blood in his body are as hot as a furnace. Especially now when he is angry, he looks like a volcano about to erupt. The entire living room seems to be oppressed by his momentum, and the air it all happens in a subtle distortion. This man is Zhao Qian's father, the current head of the Zhao family, Zhao Qingtian. The reason for this excitement is that some time ago, when the new generation of students in the 9th middle school was awakening, someone in the Martial Dao Alliance discovered a Martial Dao wizard who was rare to see in a century. 9 unique talents, Blood Phoenix. As we all know, the ancestor of their Zhao family also has the supreme talent of Martial Dao 9 Blood Phoenixes, the supreme great grandmaster. For such a good new generation talent that is rare to see in a century, it is already obvious who should be his teacher and who should be taught by him. But I never thought that the people in Jade Maiden sect had no moral ethics. Before the people from the Zhao family rushed over, they deceived them into signing a deed of betrayal. Mineo baby, shameless, it must be a honey trap. Those old ladies in Jade Maiden sect only know this kind of dirty trick. I, the Zhao family, have never bothered to use such despicable and shameless methods. Ahem, master, please interrupt me. The genius of the Blood Phoenix is a woman. The family elder reminded him. Snort, what's wrong with the woman? I have long heard that the old woman Yu Rui has lesbian hobbies and likes to collect yin to replenish yin. Otherwise, how could her appearance not change at all after living for most of her life? Such a peerless prodigy with a blood phoenix, was killed by their Jade Maiden sect is so cruel and destructive, I feel heartbroken. If it's Pai Ruyu, leave it to them, just in time to learn their ice muscle jade bone magic. Don't say they discovered it first, even if we Zhao family discovered it first, we will take the initiative to give it to them. They deliver it to your door. But Blood Phoenix belongs to fire, and Jade Maiden sect belongs to ice. If you give them such a fire-type martial Dao genius, what can they teach you? A waste of natural resources, this is a waste of natural resources. Jade Maiden sect is a group of little women with long hair and short knowledge. They have no structure or overall perspective. Martial Dao, a once-in-a-century genius, will be destroyed by them. In this day and age, our pure martial arts community has been overcrowded like this. Why can't we unite as one, be courteous to each other, and engage in individualistic sect competition like in the past? If this continues, how can we revitalize our martial Dao glory? Zhao Qingtian's righteous speech resounded in the living room and was deafening. His impassioned words made all the family elders present feel a sense of resentment in their hearts. They all felt that what Jade Maiden sect was doing was too unreasonable, and they all slapped the table and expressed that they would come to attack Jade Maiden sect and ask for a person. In other words, grab the genius of Blood Phoenix and let our Zhao family train it, we can't let them waste it. Didi, etc. I'll take a call first. And it was at this time, when Zhao Qingtian was about to start discussing matters related to criticizing Jade Maiden sect with a group of elders. Zhao Qian called. Next, all the elders could see was Zhao Qingtian. After he answered the phone, he first showed expressions of shock and confusion, and then his whole body trembled with excitement. Then he showed a triumphant smile, and finally changed his face and said something. Any price, even if it means sacrificing appearance and using a honey trap or something. Hey, baby, what's the matter? Your father and I are busy. What? Skin is jade. Okay, I'll call my ancestor right away. Zhao Qian, I am not your father now. In the name of the head of the family, I order you that before the ancestor comes into contact with him, no matter what means you use, you must stabilize him first. If necessary, even at the expense of Hugh, use it, doesn't matter if it's a honey trap. Only our Zhao family can cultivate such a martial Dao genius, and we must not let other sect forces discover and take it away. Such a wonderful double-act performance. Not only Zhao Qian on the other side of the phone was confused, but even the family elders who didn't know anything at the scene were stunned. After a long time, the first elder who came back to his senses stood up. After bowing his hands, he asked in confusion, Master, what did Hatsune say to you that makes you so happy? Ha ha ha. Zhao Qingtian, who put away the phone, looked up to the sky and laughed. He patted the elder on the shoulder and briefly told the elder about the good news reported by Zhao Qian. Wow! In an instant, dozens of elders and elders in the living room, including the great elder, were all boiling. Pai Ruyu. Okay, take it. The master of the family is such a good seedling, he must personally teach us Zhao family. We must not let other sects ruin it again. Don't worry, I'll call my ancestor right away. The ancestor came forward in person, no one can try to steal it. Zhao Qingtian didn't waste any more time and immediately took out a special mobile phone from his pocket. A 502-digit phone number was dialed. ... Hey, ancestor is like this. What? Don't worry about him. Oh, got it. What was completely different from Zhao Qingtian's imagination was that when he informed his ancestor about the discovery of Prodigy, a young man with skin as thick as jade and an extremely talented young man, the ancestor's reaction turned out to be ordinary. He was ecstatic as he imagined and rushed over to accept his disciples. Different. How did that happen? The martial Dao genius is a rare one in 100 years. He is an extremely talented person with skin as thick as jade. Isn't it possible that he can't catch the eye of our ancestors? It shouldn't be. After hanging up the phone, Zhao Qingtian scratched his head in confusion, his face full of confusion. What's wrong, Patriarch? What's going on with ancestor? What do you say? The great elder and others gathered around and asked in surprise. The ancestor said, "Don't worry about him." When Zhao Qingtian said these words, not to mention all the elders, even he himself was confused. If such a great talent is no longer available, do we really want to give it to Jade Maiden sect? What happened? Can you remember a phone number with more than 500 digits? At this moment, on the land of Kyushu. I don't know where exactly it is, but it's 10,000 meters underground, in a vast and dark base. There were doubts among the old friends. Fine. I just found another boy named Prodigy with skin as good as jade. Qingtian is informing me. Zhao Huang, the ancestor of the Zhao family and one of only 9 great-grandmasters in the contemporary era, put his cell phone in his arms and shook his head in a calm tone, as if he didn't care about the jade-skinned prodigy. Ah, Pai Ruyu, if I remember correctly, Pai Ruyu has always been a woman, and now there is a young man with Pai Ruyu's outstanding talent. It is strange. A surprised voice sounded in the darkness. More than that, as far as I know, Jade Maiden sect has already accepted a female doll with jade-like skin in the early years and secretly kept it in the sect. She thought we didn't know. It doesn't matter if 2 of the 9 talents appear at the same time in 100 years. The 2 are even the same talent, which is really weird. Ha. Another old and bold voice sounded. What's so strange about this? Era creates heroes. It is normal for some special circumstances to occur during special periods. People say that our martial Dao has withered and declined, but this year it seems that is not the case. As of now, the only one I know about is Jade Maiden sect, and he also accepted a top prodigy with skin like jade and a blood phoenix, right, old woman? Go away. Who are you calling old woman? Believe it or not, I will kill you. A fiery old woman's voice sounded. The other Taoist figures in the darkness ignored the 2 people's bickering and continued talking. Some time ago in Shuzhou, I remember that a martial Dao extremely talented person appeared. He was the Ape King Muscle or the 5 Elements Zhang. Old Bodhi, I remember that the reincarnated Buddha in your Vajra temple seems to be a flesh god elephant. There seems to be a Dao child in the Dao sect who is capable of dripping heavenly essence. There is also Dragon Protection Villa. For a few Taoist movies, the information revealed in his detailed words actually revealed all the top secrets of the Martial Dao Alliance. It can be known the status of this kind of information person can be imagined. There have been so many outstanding prodigies in the same era. The last time was ours 500 years ago. In such a glorious age of Martial Dao, who dares to say that my Martial Dao has withered? HMPH, whenever there is a demonic change, something big will happen. I heard that this year is not only the glory of our Martial Dao, but also the statistics of professional awakeners. A SS-level talent awakener appeared in Zhongdizhou, and some SS-level professionals also appeared in Qingzhou, Kangzhou and other places. Based on the previous awakenings, normally only 1 SS-level professional is enough to reserve the top spot in the college entrance examination. But now not only the 3S level has appeared, but there are also 4 double S levels, not to mention other S levels. A-level professional. I heard it's called 1 emperor, 4 emperors, 16 princes, 24 stars, and 108 generals. This is a luxurious lineup that has never appeared in the 500 years since the dawn of the era of national awakening. Ha, do the 108 generals want to go to Lengshan? Someone complained with a smile. Ha, I don't know if they want to go to Lengshan. I only know that because of the unprecedented prosperity of professional awakeners this time, the Emperor clan and the Sovereign clan may not be able to hold on anymore, especially the Qingzhou Sovereign clan. They are doing this secretly. There has been a lot of noise, and I'm afraid they want to take advantage of this opportunity to pin down our Martial Dao Alliance. Press us to death. I bother. Sovereign clan counts as a tick. Especially the Qingzhou Sovereign clan. I have been unhappy with what happened to the Chen family for a long time. If you hadn't stopped me, I would have slapped him to see if he dared to fart. The darkness rose and fell one after another, and people's vulgar words rang out. This time is different. A more elegant and easy-going scholar-like voice shook his head and told a piece of news in a calm tone. Old master, I'm dying. What, are you dying again? When my grandfather was a generation, I heard that Heavenly Master was dying. As a result, my grandfather died of old age, but Heavenly Master is still alive and well. Not only that, it was like this when my grandfather and grandfather were still alive. This time it's true. The lifespan of the Great Grand Master is 500. The Master has lived from 1,500 years ago to the present, which is beyond common sense. In addition to the changes 500 years ago, the Master went down to slay the demons alone and fight with the rank 6 beast sovereign. It is inevitable, to be honest. The ability to survive the injury to this day has far exceeded my expectations. The figure in the darkness fell into silence because of this news. After a long time, only then did a voice sound. Speaking of Niobe, how old are you? More than 530 years old. So you're going to die too. Get out of here, you are about to die. I have dirty elements and will live longer than you. How can you still be dirty with the 5 elements? It seemed that the reminder from this voice caused the newly rising atmosphere in the scene to fall into silence again. Dead silence. And also after the dead silence, suddenly. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. 9 crazy laughter echoed in the dark world. Wonderful, wonderful, we are all going to die, and the Heavenly Master is dying too. The pillars and the sky of Kyushu Martial Dao will collapse. Instead, there is a prosperous age of rising professional awakeners. 1 emperor, 4 emperors, 16 princes, 24 stars, and 108 generals. In addition, the 9 major sovereign clan and emperor clan are eyeing it. Besieged on all sides, the city is under siege. Our Martial Dao alliance is really in danger. It's in danger. Then let's bet all my Martial Dao's luck on death and rebirth for a final ultimate collision. Such a grand stage is just what we expected. Is it me, Martial Dao, who brings luck to Changlong, or is it that the new era is coming and Wang Wang is unstoppable? Let's have a battle to the top, ha 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 ha. Buzz. 9 people laughed wildly. Lights lit up in the dark underground base. Only then can you see it. The entire underground base is extremely vast. The foundation is all silvery white. It covers an area of tens of thousands of meters. In this vast base, there are large human petri dishes erected one after another, just like planting big trees. They are neatly arranged and densely packed, and there are more than 1 million of them as far as you can see. In these millions of large petri dishes, it seems that a taboo and horrible experiment is being carried out. However, the experiment seems to have failed. The nutrient solution inside all the petri dishes has turned into a pool of blood, and some blood and flesh fragments can be vaguely seen. Of course, this is not the most terrifying thing in the eyes of some people. The most terrifying thing should be the appearance of these 9 Taoist shadows under the light. Some people have no skin, only flesh and blood are exposed. Some people have no bones, lying on the ground like a pool of mud. Some people have no flesh, and their whole body is skinny. Some people have no blood, and their faces are as pale as thin paper. Only a few people look normal, but they also give people all kinds of strange feelings, as if they are missing something key, or their bodies are stiff or their feet are weak. These 9 people look weird and terrifying. Children can cry for 3 days and 3 nights when they walk together. However, if they are seen by people of height and weight, they will be even more shocked by the appearance of the 9 people. Because these 9 people are the 9 top great grandmasters of the current Martial Dao Alliance. At this moment, the 9 top. They all stood in front of the only culture dish in the millions that was displayed in a turquoise color. Inside this culture dish, there was a slender figure with his eyes closed, curled up in it like a baby. His skin was as white as jade, and his long hair was as black as ink, covering most of his body. His face could not be seen clearly, and he was floating up and down in the nutrient solution, like a dormant god. His breathing revealed an unspeakable rhythm, making people feel insignificant as if they were facing another level of life. It took 500 years and millions of experiments. It consumed countless financial resources. We finally succeeded. Skin like jade, bones like glass, flesh like a god, blood like a phoenix, tendons like a monkey king, dripping marrow, 5 elements, innate chi, and a clear mind. 9 unique things gathered in one body, Martial Dao can spirit ascension. The son of prophecy who will be born in 10,000 years was perfectly created by us 5,000 years in advance. Science and technology are really the primary productive force. Ha ha ha. The 9 people looked at the figure in the petri dish, their expressions were distorted and hideous, and they laughed crazily. I'm afraid the world would never think of it. These 9 great grandmasters who were only able to travel by foot, use the phone to transmit sound over 1,000 miles, and wear ancient robes in the impression of the last era have actually reached the forefront of the times. They used themselves as specimens to conduct taboo human body research. And they really succeeded. In the era of universal awakening, why did martial Tao wither and become lonely? Logically speaking, the martial artist group, which already has the advantage of innate, should be like a fish in water in the era of universal awakening, and usher in unprecedented strength and glory. However, the facts are the opposite. The martial artist, who has been practicing hard since childhood, has gradually fallen behind the professional awakeners in this era, until now it has been completely surpassed by the awakeners and has fallen to the point of huddling together for warmth. The fundamental reason lies in the curse that this era has brought down on martial Tao. All martial Tao masters, especially the batch of martial Tao grandmasters and great-grandmasters in the early days of the awakening era. None of them awakened to a combat profession. All of them were brick movers, cart pullers, sweepers, and other life professions doing odd jobs. If a professional wants to become stronger, the first thing is to constantly fight and kill monsters, and gain experience through constant fighting. The second is to understand their own profession and improve their own occupational skills. Take the warrior as an example. For a combat professional, they only need to keep using the sword to chop monsters, and the two major conditions will basically be cultivated at the same time. But for life-related occupations, for example, if you awaken directly to be a deliveryman, if you want to upgrade and become stronger, in addition to fighting monsters, you also have to work part-time as a deliveryman. Only when the experience of both meets certain conditions can you advance. This is also the biggest disadvantage of life-related occupations awakened. However, this disadvantage actually has no effect on grandmasters and great-grandmasters in the early stage of the universal awakening era. After all, they are idle on weekdays. It is also very common for martial Tao masters and hermits to have some hobbies such as planting trees, cooking, and sweeping the floor. So even if the awakening is not favorable and only awakens to a life-related occupation, if they want, they can completely enjoy the dividends of the era. But the key point is this. They don't want to. This kind of thing, 1 or 2 is fine. They can just curse and say it's unlucky, and then shamelessly, secretly work as a deliveryman or sweeping the street without telling 3 or 5 friends. But this situation appears in large numbers among the martial artist group. Among the same group of awakened people, ordinary people or at least warriors, but they're martial artists who are more outstanding in all aspects are given low-level life-related professions such as farming and planting trees. What does this mean? Not to mention the 9 top great grandmasters headed by Zhao Huang, even the ordinary grandmasters, martial masters, and martial artists below. All the martial Tao sects and ancient martial arts families can feel a deep malice. It comes from the malice of this era towards their martial artist group. This is targeted, a naked targeted attack. Because our appearance destroyed the intention of the creator behind this game, JoJo did not suffer as much damage as other countries and foreign races. So the people behind the planning of this game cursed us martial artists. All martial artists will not awaken any good professions. Either they are life professions doing odd jobs, or they are the lowest level of garbage combat professions, F level and the like, and being able to reach D level is the best. The other party has thrown the cake on the ground and trampled it under their feet, and you still want to kneel and lick it. Every martial artist who cultivates martial Tao has some pride. The higher the martial Tao attainments, the more diligent and hardworking they are, and the more outstanding their talents are, the deeper the pride in their hearts, like a root bone head, a spine that welds them tightly. They can't kneel down. I'm a great grandmaster, and you want me to deliver food. You're still okay. Look at me, my profession is a salesman, and I'm the head of the Taoist sect. I heard that the old Taoist priest was assigned a job as a handyman by them. Who are you humiliating? The 9 people at the scene obviously had been resentful and angry about this matter for a long time. But if it was just like this, they might be angry and roar. They would be unwilling, but they wouldn't go crazy. What really made them crazy, mad, twisted, and even engaged in taboo-like human body research was to create the legendary son of prophecy in advance. It's fine that the high-handed game rule makers cursed us. But what do you, sovereign clan emperor clan, mean by kicking us when we're down? Without us, you would have been destroyed long ago. We are the ones who protected the people of Kyushu. We are the ones who protected the territory of Kyushu. We are the ones who protected the people of the world at dawn. Without us, those Beast King beast tides were stopped in the early days of the Awakening era. How can you be so high-handed and carefree now? The cunning rabbit dies and the lackey is cooked. Someone in the Sovereign clan said that we want too much. Martial artist can't level up quickly. Why do we need so many training resources? Some people advocate innovation, saying that the products of the old era should be eliminated and welcome the arrival of the new era. Some people say that if you can't keep up with the times, you deserve to be eliminated. Ha ha ha. There is even a shameless old guy in the Emperor clan. He said that our martial Dao luck is a product of the old era and has destroyed the luck of the people of Kyushu to awaken to the new era. It is a stain and must be removed. There are even more beastly remarks, saying that we are too selfish and cherish our own things. Good martial arts skills are all hidden away. Why not share them openly with everyone to contribute to the professional awakening? TMD, the person who said this is really a beast, even a white-eyed wolf can't compare to you. Okay, everyone says that our martial Dao is in decline, so we will use this college entrance examination as a battlefield and risk all my luck as martial Dao to have a chance with you. 1 emperor, 4 emperors, 16 princes, 24 stars, and 108 generals. Luxury is truly luxury. Just suppress them all. Let's have a martial Dao luck collision with the tide of the times. If we win, then martial Dao will be able to open the gate of heaven, the spirit ascension, and enter an unprecedented new realm. If you win, then everything will be as you wish, and I, martial Dao, will completely wither, the sky will collapse, and the earth will collapse, and I will be destroyed. Quote. The 9 supreme great grandmasters looked at the sleeping figure hugging their knees in the petri dish and laughed crazily. Child, wake up quickly. There are only 3 months left. The National College Entrance Examination will be held in 3 months, and during these 3 months, the 9 of us will teach you all the martial Dao knowledge of the 5,000 years of history in Kyushu. As for the martial Dao prodigy who are appearing all over Kyushu at this moment, we will not interfere too much. They will be your best touchstone. Whether it's skin like jade, blood phoenix, or 5 elements of internal organs, all the martial Dao prodigy who came into being this time, you will personally defeat them one by one in the future. Conquer them one by one. You will be the only saint child in my martial Dao alliance. Led them to accept my martial Dao luck and launch the highest gamble with the new era professional prodigy. Quote. And your name? I haven't met the Heavenly Master for 1,000 years, and I haven't used martial arts for 10,000 years. Spirit Ascension. Child, your name is Martial Tong God. Boom. As if hearing the calls of the 9 people, the figure sleeping in the nutrient solution suddenly opened its eyes, and a scarlet eye appeared from behind the dark hair. The huge petri dish that could withstand missile bombing instantly collapsed at this moment. The mysterious grand prize that I was supposed to get was put in the safe, but I didn't get it. It was said that it would be given to me in 2 days. Now this great master, who has never been seen, has yet to respond. It seems I really didn't look at the almanac when I went out today. After Zhao Qian made the call and said that his ancestor would talk to him right away, almost a quarter of an hour had passed and Su Chen still hadn't waited for the call from the ancestor that Zhao Qian said. It was like the father opposite Zhao Qian called his ancestor. At that time, it seemed like I kept pressing the wrong phone number and couldn't get through. Quietly, there was absolutely no intention of responding. This made Su Chen couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. He no longer struggled with these things, but looked into the distance. Get ready to start planning for what's next. Based on past experience, after the first mock test, the school copy is basically over. Next, the students will form teams and go to the wilderness to experience real life and death combat. People's hearts are sinister and full of dangers and opportunities. If the school dungeon is the stage of career adaptation, then the jungle dungeon outside the city is the stage where students who have awakened their professions grow rapidly. At the same time, this rank 1 segment will also be an extremely crazy and brutal growth for me. Su Chen looked at the endless plains and wilderness outside the city, sensing the countless ferocious beasts hiding inside. The heaven-swallowing demon technique in his body was already ready to move. Whether it is blood refining, flesh refining or subsequent cultivation, it consumes a lot of one's own energy and blood. In the uninhabited land of the wilderness, he no longer has to worry about others seeing him using the heaven-swallowing demon technique like he did in the school dungeon, and he can relax and eat as much as he wants. At the same time, it can also release all the demons in Tianyuan and let them grow as much as they want. However, some preparations still need to be made before that. After all, you can only sail with caution. The wilderness is dangerous. It is necessary to buy some first aid supplies before going there. So Su Chen is going to go to the school hospital and use the student discount to buy some first aid supplies for tomorrow's trip. Prepare for the wild area. As for joining the Martial Dao Alliance, let's wait until Zhao Qian gets through the phone. With this in mind, Su Chen said hello to Zhao Qian and prepared to leave. Student Su Chen, please wait. Zhao Qian, who was also waiting anxiously next to him, saw Su Chen was about to leave and hurriedly came to greet him. What's the matter, Law Enforcement Officer Hatsune, do you have anything else to do? Su Chen raised his head with doubts in his eyes. Zhao Qian was wearing a tight-fitting black leather jacket and her slender legs were twitching. She stood in front of Su Chen, her face turned red, and she did not dare to look directly at Su Chen. You still remember that not long ago she was still considering whether to do something for Master Su Chen. Now half a day has passed and she was about to consider whether to use a beauty trap against Su Chen and sacrifice her appearance. It really made her embarrassed and ashamed. At the same time, Zhao Qian also gritted her teeth and secretly hated her. Why did her dead father go there? Didn't he say that he would call his ancestor and come back immediately? Why hasn't he come back yet? It couldn't be that he didn't remember his phone number. She hasn't even called back yet, which makes her so confused. Law Officer Hatsune, if you have nothing else to do, I'll leave first. Su Chen said with a strange look in his eyes. He didn't know why Zhao Qian suddenly became coquettish and kept rubbing those long legs. It couldn't be that she wanted him to pinch them. Don't leave yet, Su Chen, I still have something I haven't told you. Just when Zhao Qian made up his mind to use the honey trap, something suddenly happened in the arena. Not far away, Zhang Feng, who was knocked to the ground and had been pinched to wake up, suddenly fainted again after a scream. Ambulance, ambulance, the patient is too emotional. Send him to the hospital quickly. Such commotion made Su Chen turn his head in surprise. What's the situation? He didn't do anything cruel to Zhang Feng, did he? Why did you faint again? Don't rely on me if you get sick. Thinking of this possibility, Su Chen wanted to run away. Don't even think about running away. You murderer! A gust of fragrant wind came, and before Su Chen could run away, Zhang Feng's mother hugged her arm. Baiyun Hospital. So big. Very scary. Don't come over. In the ward filled with the smell of disinfectant, Zhang Feng, who had put on a blue and white striped hospital gown, was having a seizure on the bed. He seemed to have seen something extremely terrifying. He kept screaming in fear and huddled inside. The body was shivering. It looked like he was frightened by something. Next to him, a big-headed doctor in a white coat was diagnosing him in detail with a stethoscope. My Zhaofeng was fine before the competition, but he became like this after fighting you. You still said it had nothing to do with you. What will you do next if you are so crazy now? Su Chen, don't think that you are highly talented. The Martial Dao Alliance values you, so you can do whatever you want. If anything happens to my Zhaofeng, don't even think about running away. I also want the 100 million mysterious grand prize from my Zhang group. I'm telling you, no way. Even if my Zhang family dissipates all their wealth, I will still make you pay the price. The opposite side is separated from Zhang Feng's hospital bed by a white gauze curtain. Led by Zhang Feng's parents, Zhang Feng's 7 aunts and 8 aunts all came, crying and fussing over Su Chen. Make it seem like it's my problem. He had mental problems to begin with. You've been talking about Zonger all day long and you didn't find out. Now it's out and you blame me. Su Chen would not admit that these people wanted to blame Zhang Feng's incident on him. He even had reason to suspect that this was Zhang Feng's father, who was so shameless that he cheated him of a 100 million mysterious prize and deliberately joined forces with Zhang Feng to stage a show. What? Zhang Feng's father, Zhang Yangwei, immediately became anxious as if he had been struck by something. He blushed and said, Zhang Yangwei, have always done things with spit and nail. How could I do such a thing that goes against my word? That is, thankfully, I thought you were quite good after reading the reports earlier. I didn't expect you to be so scheming and talkative at such a young age. You are indeed someone who can maliciously steal monsters in the dungeon. Next to Zhang Feng's mother, Hong Yuyao, there was another hot lady with short and medium hair, a protruding front and an upturned back. She was holding Hong Yuyao's shoulders and comforting Hong Yuyao, and said something strange to Su Chen. Who are you? Su Chen asked angrily, not liking them at all. I'm his aunt. Aunt. Su Chen's eyes swept up and down Aunt Zhang Feng's body, and she turned out to be the same as Sheba's. The charm is still there. Boo, little sister, what should I do if Zhao Feng continues like this? Zhang Feng's mother Hong Yuyao burst into tears, and her sister-in-law quickly patted her shoulders to comfort her. Sister, don't be sad, Zhao Feng, he will be safe and sound. After comforting her, the sister-in-law turned her head again and glared at Su Chen with wide almond-shaped eyes. Snort, look, there's something interesting to see. Let me tell you, if something happens to my Zhao Feng today, I will dig out your eyes. As she spoke, Aunt Zhang Feng burst out with the aura of a rank 2 professional. Su Chen was speechless about this. He had read novels before and there was no medical incident when the protagonist injured someone. Why did it happen to him when it was his turn? But this incident had nothing to do with him and everyone blamed him. Except for beating Zhang Feng, I didn't do anything else. The doctors have said that there is nothing wrong with me physically but mentally. I didn't use mental attacks on him. I have a hammer relationship. Chirping is a waste of my time. Gone. Su Chen turned around and was about to leave. His time was so precious. If Zhang Feng's family hadn't interfered, he might have already started the flesh refining process. He is preparing to complete the perfect body tempering technique, Immortal Transformation Red Dust Immortal before the college entrance examination, let you know what to do. Don't go. Don't leave. You murderer. Seeing Su Chen trying to run away, Hong Yuyao, who was wearing a rich stepmother's dress, suddenly rushed over. The fragrance was charming and the touch was soft. She scratched Su Chen's body with her 2 little hands. She looked like she was crying, but because Su Chen Piruyu was not afraid of being caught by her at all, which made this scene look a bit like a girlfriend holding her boyfriend and acting coquettishly for him. Ma'am, please respect yourself. Su Chen pulled Hong Yuyao away from her body and showed her to respect herself. At this time, Hong Yuyao seemed to realize that she had been too emotional just now. She looked down at her disheveled appearance and her face turned slightly red. Zhang Yangwei on the side seemed to have noticed this atmosphere, and his face turned dark instantly. But there is nothing to say. After all, no one did it on purpose. The atmosphere was slightly silent. And it was also at this time. With a crash, the white gauze curtain was opened, and the big-headed doctor couldn't get out. Zhang Feng's 7 aunts and 8 aunts immediately surrounded him. 78 tongues of inquiry. How's it going? How is my Zhao Feng? Su Chen also cast his gaze from behind. He also wanted to know whether Zhang Feng's illness had anything to do with him. At this moment, Dr. Datu still had a slightly shocked expression on his face. It seemed that even he had not thought that Zhang Feng was suffering from this unprecedented disease that had never really appeared in the medical world. Upon hearing this, Hong Yuyao's body instantly went limp. If she hadn't been supported by her sister-in-law in time, she would have fallen to the ground now. What kind of disease is it? Doctor, tell me. We can accept it. And you, don't even think about running away. I'm telling you, I'm staring at you. Sister-in-law Zhang Feng glared at Su Chen with red eyes. Su Chen shrugged. He had no intention of running away, but he wanted to see what the disease was. Does it have anything to do with me? Phobia of giant objects. Dr. Datu told Zhang Feng's condition, and then he looked at Zhang Feng's parents with extremely strange eyes and asked in confusion. What exactly did you show him? The patient suffers from macrophobia. I have been practicing medicine for so many years, and in the thousands of years of medical development, this is the first time I have seen an actual case of this disease. Ah, as soon as this statement appeared, the atmosphere at the scene instantly became awkward. Zhang Feng's mother and sister-in-law glanced at Su Chen secretly, their faces flushed. Zhang Feng's father's face darkened and he almost fainted from anger. This was because he knew he was born to be powerful, so he did it on purpose. The atmosphere in the room was silent and strange. Only Zhang Feng's voice screamed at this time. Ah! So big. Very scary. You, don't come here. Zhang Feng pointed at Su Chen on the hospital bed and shrank back, his eyes full of fear of the huge thing. It seems that he was completely beaten and scared out of his mind. Su Chen. Phobia of giant objects. Su Chen's mouth twitched. A rare hint of embarrassment flashed across his face. I didn't expect that Zhang Feng's condition was really related to him, but I didn't expect. What kind of disease did you say you had? It's not good to have this bad disease. It's all thanks to me that you grow up. Su Chen couldn't stand the atmosphere in the room, so he turned around and left the room without much delay. And just when he was about to find a doctor and buy some emergency medicine necessary for heading to the wilderness tomorrow. Yi Fan. In the corridor, Su Chen saw a figure wearing yellow takeout clothes running past. It felt familiar to him. In a clean and tidy ward with a light floral fragrance. There is a small hospital bed placed by the window. The bedding is white. The sun shines through the glass window and falls on the lilies on the bedside table. The flowers are white and there are still crystal drops of water on them. It seems that someone comes to change them frequently. Next to this lily, there is a beautiful girl sitting on the hospital bed. She has a slim figure, delicate and picturesque facial features, and her fair skin looks a bit sickly as if she has not seen the sun for a long time. Her long snow-white hair hangs down from her cheeks, like snow. The elves in the world have a strange sense of beauty. Your brother didn't come today. Next to Yi Xiao, a stunning Shaoliner wearing a white coat was checking Yi Xiao's body. Today is the time for the mock exam. He said he might have to come a little later. Mock test. Shaoliner was a little surprised and then her beautiful eyes flickered. She seemed to understand something, and she asked casually as she continued to check Yi Xiao's body. Did you see him on the live broadcast? Yi Xiao was sitting on the hospital bed, holding her mobile phone, which was constantly replaying the mock exam of No. 1 middle school. The doctor's words made her eyelashes tremble slightly, and she shook her head in a low voice. No, the melee in the first round was so chaotic. Maybe your brother was eliminated at some point and it's normal that he wasn't photographed. Shaoliner consoled him. Yi Xiao nodded and said nothing. Shaoliner also fell silent. He silently checked Yi Xiao's body without saying anything more, but he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. As Yi Xiao's attending doctor, she naturally already knew about Yi Xiao and Yi Fan. The two brothers and sisters have no relatives at home and are lonely and dependent on each other. Sister Yi Xiao has suffered from a strange disease since she was a child. There is no good treatment, so she can only spend 20,000 to 30,000 yuan a month to maintain her condition. Brother Yi Fan took on the responsibility of treating his sister. I have been working part-time delivering food since high school. Coupled with social welfare, school discounts, and orphanage subsidies, I can barely scrape together enough money every month. Although life was a bit difficult at that time, the eyes of the two brothers and sisters were full of hope. Because Yi Xiao's brother, Yi Fan, is very talented. Although society will basically not give them any subsidies and benefits after they reach adulthood at the age of 18. But with Yi Fan's health value of more than 6 points at that time, if nothing unexpected happened, he would have awakened a good combat profession during the awakening ceremony, and it would be easy to make money by then. With Yi Fan's hard work, he can earn 100,000 yuan a month, but 1 million is not a problem. The matter of treating Yi Xiao was naturally full of hope, but who would have thought that Yi Fan's awakening failed? Maybe it was because he was working part-time as a food delivery person, but his awakening profession turned out to be a food delivery in the life department. This moment ruined the future and hope of the two brothers and sisters. Yi Fan begged her that day not to tell Yi Xiao, for fear of putting a psychological burden on Yi Xiao. She is also trying her best to help Yi Fan lie. It is said that Yi Fan has awakened a good B-level combat profession. But if this kind of thing can be concealed for a while, how can it be concealed for a lifetime? Yesterday, Yi Xiao was happy for a long time after hearing that the mock exam of No. 1 middle school was being broadcast live. She opened the live broadcast room excitedly to cheer for Yi Fan. But the result was that after searching for a long time, Yi Fan was not seen. I'm afraid I've already made some guesses in my mind. Squeak. The door to the room was pushed open from the outside. Sorry Xiao, I'm late. This is your favorite Lily. Yi Fan walked in. He was wearing a white shirt, with a few sweat stains on his forehead. He held a flower in one hand and scratched his head with the other hand, with an apologetic smile on his bronze face. Brother, what's wrong with your hand? When he put the flower in the vase, Yi Xiao saw the scratch on Yi Fan's elbow. Yi Fan turned his elbow up, looked at it, and stood up to explain. Oh, it's okay, Xiao, you know, today is our school's mock exam. Those fools saw that I was strong and united to attack me. I was accidentally injured by them, but don't worry, who am I, your brother? I am the future Yi Heavenly Emperor Yi Divine King. The little Gaga who can only attack was eliminated by me with one punch and one kick. Yi Fan laughed and talked about his performance in the ring. But, brother, I didn't see you. Yi Xiao's tone was lost. She lowered her head and didn't look at Yi Fan, but kept fiddling with the mobile phone in her hand. Yi Fan was stunned for a moment, and he looked at Sha Liner beside him. Sha Liner shook her head at him. Yi Fan then showed a forced smile on his face. Xiao, we are taking the exam. There are hundreds of people fighting in the rank 1 section. It's normal that you can't see clearly. It's nothing. If it weren't for your brother's carelessness and accidentally slipping out of the ring, it would be a shame for the number 4 ring to have the glasses brother, the fake one, to go on stage. He didn't even take Su Chen's move and was shattered. He was so self-inflicted that he was embarrassed. Brother, do you still treat me as a child? If it's really like you said, how could I not see you? Yi Xiao said, opening the chat box on her phone. There was a short video in it. She clicked on the video and handed it to Yi Fan. Brother, Xiao Yu just told me that during the mock exam at noon, a delivery man took a shortcut from their school to deliver 2 more orders and accidentally slipped while driving. Many people took videos and forwarded them to me. Take a look. Does the person on the video look a bit like you? Me. Yi Fan's pupils suddenly shrank. He never thought that he would be filmed. Although the video was blurry and his face was not captured, it was still easy to distinguish familiar people. So, brother, are you lying to me? You didn't take the mock exam at all, and you didn't awaken the combat profession at all. Yi Xiao asked with tears in her eyes. The glittering light in her eyes made Yi Fan panic and at a loss. His eyes trembled, and he opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. Sister Xiao has a good eye. She saw at a glance that the delivery man who slipped on the ground was Yi Fan. And it was at this time. A familiar figure walked in at the door again. Su Chen walked in playing with his mobile phone, with a playful smile on his lips when he spoke. Sha Liner looked in the direction of the voice, and a ray of light flashed in her beautiful eyes. Brother Su Chen. Yi Xiao was also a little surprised by Su Chen's arrival. Brother Su Chen, why are you here? Su Chen seemed to be sending a message to someone. After sending the message, he put the phone back in his pocket, smiled and said hello. The mock exam is over. I plan to go out of the city to the wild area tomorrow, so I came to our school hospital to buy some discounted first aid supplies. I thought that Sister Yi Xiao was also there, so I came to see you. Perhaps many people are wondering, why are there only 3 of the 4 school beauties in Baiyun Middle School? It can't be that the statistician is not smart and can't tell the difference between 3 and 4 in math. The answer is of course not like this. Yi Xiao was the last school belle of their number 1 middle school, but she asked for leave after a few days in high school and suspended her studies. And because of her outstanding appearance, the vacant position has not been filled, so there are only 3 of the 4 school beauties left. In the first year of high school, he and Yi Fan were in the same class, so Su Chen and Yi Xiao knew each other. I remember her as a weak and strong girl. It's just been a long time since we last met. I didn't expect that after not seeing you for a while, you've become more beautiful, Xiao sister. Su Chen looked at Yi Xiao's crystal white hair, and a strange look flashed in his eyes, but it was well hidden. Thank you. It seemed that Su Chen's compliment made Yi Xiao lower her head a little embarrassed. Congratulations to you, brother Su Chen, too. Congratulations, you got the first place in the mock exam. Su Chen smiled and was about to say something else. Su Chen, what are you doing here? Yi Fan's nervous voice sounded at the side. Although they were in the same class for 3 years in high school, his relationship with Su Chen was not that good. One was the first in chi and blood value, and the other was the second in chi and blood value. They were in a competitive relationship, and he rarely challenged Su Chen in the past. There were also all kinds of pre-fight threats like Zhang San and Li Si. Su Chen's eyes swept across the scratch on Yi Fan's arm, and he thought of the takeaway truck he saw from the second floor just now, which had also been in close contact, and he had a general understanding. He raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a meaningful smile, and said, "What am I here for?" "Of course, to see the defeated opponent." "Who is your defeated opponent?" Yi Fan was a little annoyed. He felt that Su Chen came here after getting the first place in the mock exam, deliberately coming here to humiliate him, wanting to expose his lies in front of Yi Xiao and laugh at him. "What?" Su Chen tilted his head. "Yi Fan, have you forgotten who challenged me with confidence before today's exam? Said that whoever lost would send a cup of milk tea to the other party's sister even if he didn't take the mock exam. Now you lost. Not only did you not take the mock exam, but you also fell down in a funny way on the way to send the milk tea. I'm sorry to say these words. You lied to our sister Xiao that she was beaten by others on the ring. Are you not afraid of being embarrassed to say these things?" Su Chen's, exposing the old bottom, made Yi Fan stunned. Shaoliner's eyes flashed with a surprised light, and her red lips opened slightly, whispering, "Interesting," for the first time in a voice that no one could hear. "Su Chen you." Yi Fan was stunned and wanted to say something, but Su Chen just smiled back. "Brother." "What brother?" Su Chen said is true. "Did you make a bet with brother Su Chen that you didn't take the mock exam and went to deliver food to No. 2 middle school?" Yi Fan turned around. Facing his sister's inquiring eyes, he couldn't react for a while, and Su Chen answered for him. "Of course, if you don't believe it, you can ask Xiao Meng." Just now, he was playing with his phone to communicate with Lin Xiao Meng. "But Yi Fan is too bad, just like before, I killed him in one move." "You are talking nonsense. Su Chen, the gap between us was not that big in the past." Yi Fan angrily refuted loudly. "In terms of chi and health, he is the second in the class, and Su Chen is the first in the class. One is more than 6 points, and the other is more than 9 points. The difference is only more than 3 points. It's only 3 to 500 kilograms of strength. How can I be defeated by you in one move? It takes 3 rounds every time." He. Yi Xiao's laughter rang out in the ward. She withdrew her eyes from the milk tea photo in the chat box, looked up at Yi Fan who was arguing with Su Chen and giggled. Brother Su Chen ranked first in this mock exam. He can defeat so many B-level and A-level professionals without awakening any profession. Don't flatter yourself. ... Bang. In the hospital, in the corridor, on the bench in front of the vending machine. Su Chen handed a bottle of drink to Yi Fan. "Thank you." Yi Fan took the drink. He sat on a chair, next to a yellow takeaway uniform that was a little worn. "You're welcome. It's just a can of drink." Su Chen also sat down. "Thank you so much, Su Chen." Yi Fan shook his head. He looked at Su Chen beside him with sincere eyes. He seemed to have grown a lot in just a few days. His character became more stable and resolute. He was not as aggressive as before. When he saw him, he said thank you. Su Chen lowered his eyes and smiled inexplicably. "Don't talk about this. What's wrong with Xiao?" He asked about Yi Xiao's illness. In his memory, when she was in the first year of high school, Yi Xiao still had black hair. Although her skin was white, it was also a normal and healthy color, but now, the doctor can't tell what the specific disease is. He only knows that as the disease gets worse, Xiao's body will become weaker and weaker. Later, she may die of a common cold and fever or a small wound. She may even never wake up in her sleep. Yi Fan said this in a deep voice. There was helpless pain in his voice. "Is it incurable?" Yi Fan shook his head. Dr. Shaw said that there is no good treatment for this case. It can only be maintained temporarily by drugs. Ordinary drugs are difficult to effectively treat it. Perhaps some rank 6 divine medicine can treat. Rank 6. After hearing such a high-level divine object, Su Chen also sighed. Once the natural treasure reaches rank 6, it is invaluable and cannot be bought with money. He was also powerless. "Do you need help?" Although he couldn't take out such a high-level treasure now, he could ask for some financial help. After all, they were classmates for 3 years. It was just a piece of cake for him. And Yi Xiao and his younger sister were also good girlfriends. As a brother, he should give some help. Yi Fan was silent. After a while, he looked up at Su Chen. Su Chen's appearance was reflected in his dim eyes, flashing with a certain brilliance, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Su Chen, you are such a good person. You are so gentle, considerate and attentive. No wonder so many girls in school like you. Even I am a little moved. Chapter 89. But, no, Su Chen, although I failed to awaken, my vitality and blood levels are still over 6 points, which is 5 to 6 times the physical fitness of ordinary people. If I earn 20,000 to 30,000 yuan a month, it is still enough money to give Xiao the maintenance medicine. Quote. Yi Fan's answer did not surprise Su Chen. He must be strong throughout his life. Although his character has become calm and resolute, and his face has become a bit mature and dark, his essence has not changed. He still wants to be strong. He would rather endure hardships than trouble others. I plan to deliver food and move bricks at the construction site part-time. Don't think it's all hard work. $800 or $900 less in one day. Also, Su Chen, I haven't congratulated you yet. You are truly my Yi Fan's eternal rival. You can defeat Zhang Feng, Wang Hao, Sun Cheng and those idiots rubbed themselves on the ground and won the first place in the mock test, which opened my eyes. Quote. But Su Chen, don't think that I, Yi Fan, have declined. Can't I, Yi Fan, not be able to do what you can do? Well, maybe I can't do any better than you. But I can deliver food to exercise my physical skills, and I can move bricks on the construction site to exercise my strength. I have already decided. I will apply for the next college entrance examination next year. You can achieve this without awakening your profession. I, Yi Fan, am at least a food delivery guy. Why can't I? Yi Fan talked about his plans and visions for the future, as if he was inspired by Su Chen's incident, and his tone was somewhat optimistic. Okay, then you have to work hard, Yi Fan. Su Chen encouraged him sincerely. Yi Fan does have talent on martial Dao. If he can practice wholeheartedly, he doesn't have to wait until next year. Maybe after 3 months, the blood value will be raised to 10.0 to enter the martial artist state, meeting the standards for taking the college entrance examination. Oh, by the way, Su Chen gives this to you. As he spoke, Yi Fan took out a sealed qi and blood pill from his arms. Wang Tang handed this to me. I don't need it, so I'll give it to you. I know that you were rewarded with 100 qi and blood pills for first place and an invitation from the Martial Dao Alliance. In the future, you won't be able to practice more like me, but the more the better. This one will be used as a reward. This is my reward for helping me out of trouble just now. Su Chen watched Yi hand over the qi and blood pill. Didn't accept it. Instead, he pushed the qi blood pill back, shook his head and smiled. It's better for you to accept it yourself. You still have to prepare for next year's college entrance examination. With the help of qi and blood pills, you can better break through to the martial artist state in advance. Moreover, you have to deliver food and insist on moving bricks at the construction site. If you can't keep up with your nutrition, I'm afraid you will die suddenly. Only when you take good care of yourself can you take good care of your sister. Otherwise, if you burp or fart that day, don't blame me for taking your sister in. You get out. I knew you, Su Chen, were an invisible LSP. You were surrounded by 3 major school beauties and you had evil intentions towards my sister. Yi Fan laughed and cursed. The tone was indeed unprecedentedly relaxed. After that, he looked at the qi and blood pill in his hand, fell into silence again, and silently took it back. Su Chen, what are your plans next? He asked about Su Chen's future. Intend. Su Chen narrowed his eyes, looked at the first aid supplies he bought in his hand, and said slowly. The college entrance examination is less than 3 months away. Time is of the essence. I plan to leave the city tomorrow to practice in the wild and become stronger as soon as possible. After all, I have made a promise to get the first place in the college entrance examination in 3 months. First, Yi Fan seemed to be shocked by what Su Chen said, and the drink in his mouth almost spit out. Number 1 in Kyushu, are you serious? Su Chen nodded without explaining too much. Yi Fan wiped the drink left on his lips and didn't ask too much. He just looked at Su Chen, not sarcastically or incredulously, but the light in his eyes became brighter and the corners of his mouth smiled unconsciously. Good. If you, Su Chen, are number 1 in the 9 provinces this term, then I, Yi Fan, will also be number 1 in the next term. Let's meet at the top. Yi Fan stretched out his fist towards Su Chen. Although he always felt that the phrase, meet at the top, was a flag, after looking at it, Su Chen still stretched out his fist and touched Yi Fan lightly. After a moment of saying goodbye, Su Chen stood up from his seat. He looked at Yi Fan's back as he trotted away wearing takeout clothes and murmured softly. Yi Fan, the world of mortals is like a quagmire, and all living beings are suffering. We need to work hard to get out of this trap. Thump. Throw the drink bottle into the trash can. Su Chen no longer hesitated, a sharp luster flashed in his eyes, he picked up the medical bag and walked firmly in the other direction. Name, Su Chen. Blood value, 50.0. Cultivation, skin refining late stage. Skills, perfect body tempering technique, heaven swallowing demon technique. Spells, dragon scales, dragon teeth. Note, after completing the perfect body tempering technique, you can obtain the immortal ascension technique. Closing square bracket. It turns out that after practicing the perfect body tempering technique and foundation building, you can transform into an immortal body. I thought that after foundation building, you need gold core, nascent soul, and transcending tribulation. It saves a lot of effort. Quiet night, moon on the branches. Star apartment, in the room. Su Chen looked at his immortality cultivation panel and found that after his great accomplishment, there was an additional column of notes on the perfect body tempering technique on the immortality cultivation panel. He only needed to complete the 9 aspects of the perfect body tempering technique. You can obtain the method of immortal transformation, immortal ascension. There is no need to start core formation after foundation building like in the novel in the previous life. After core formation, you have to be a nascent soul boss for a while, and then you have to be a nascent soul boss for a while. There are not so many troubles and cumbersome things. Steps, he only needs to complete the perfect body tempering technique, and he can take 1 step to immortal ascension. This actually made him look forward to it a little more. After all, he was originally planning to complete the perfect body tempering technique within 3 months, before the college entrance examination. And now, the original plan remains unchanged. But we need to add one more thing to the original plan: strive to immortal transformation, immortal ascension before the college entrance examination, so that no matter what monsters he encounters in the next college entrance examination battlefield, he will not be afraid. So, should I choose to train flesh or blood next? Su Chen sat cross-legged on the bed. He stared at the description of flesh refining and blood refining in the perfect body tempering technique in his mind. Lost in thought, after the perfect body tempering technique goes through the skin refining stage, he can freely choose whether it is flesh refining or blood refining. It's just that Su Chen was slightly hesitant about which one to practice first. Flesh refining strengthens itself and every cell in the body. It can rebuild the body and temper it for new life. Refining blood will strengthen the blood, strengthen the human body, endurance, and explosive power. The blood will be like a vast ocean, and it will surge like a river. All ghosts and evil spirits will be warded off. Both methods of cultivation have their own advantages and disadvantages. In layman's terms, if the human body is compared to a car, blood refining is to modify the engine oil, and flesh refining is to modify the car body. No matter which one of these 2 directions is modified, it will be of great help to him. Therefore, Su Chen hesitated slightly as he had to choose which one to practice first. Should we refining blood first or flesh refining first? In the end, after much deliberation, Su Chen chose to train meat first. Without him, strength increases quickly. The name of the perfect body tempering technique for training the body is the elephant step of the King of Gods. There are 9 postures in the Zunwang divine elephant step, which were created by copying a kind of divine elephant called Zunwang in heaven and earth. It has ultimate power and is a totem of solidity and solidity. It is said that the kings and idols were born with the world in mind, and the world above them walked in the heaven, earth and universe. They would not turn, they would only move forward in one direction, and all the stars and obstacles in their way would be ruthlessly crushed by them. The purpose of this method is to use the soul formation of human cell mustard seeds to resemble the king. Each cell mustard seed is a king statue. 60 trillion cell mustard seeds are 60 trillion king statues. It is the ultimate terrifying power. Location. Of course, Su Chen had an incomplete method in his hands. Let alone a cell mustard seed that transforms into a statue of the king, based on what he can see in his hand. After he has reached perfection, all the cell mustard seeds in his body combined will only be enough to make an embryo. But even so, that's enough for Su Chen now. My body is as heavy as 1,000 stones and as thick as the top of Mount Tai. Flesh refining basic accomplishment is as heavy as a stone, and can be shaken by rocks at every turn. Great accomplishment of meat training, as thick as the top of Mount Tai, when the sky collapses and the earth shakes. Practice the king's divine elephant step and you will actually gain weight at the same time. This surprised Su Chen. Flesh refining basic accomplishment, the weight is not metaphorical but real. And the weight is 30,000 kilograms or 15 tons. Hey guys, humanoid steamroller. No wonder flesh refining has the greatest improvement in one's strength. The 15 tons of weight alone is scary enough. At this point, Su Chen estimates that few people below rank 3 can take a punch from him. I just don't know if Dao body can lose weight after gaining weight, otherwise it would be bad if the house collapses when I go home. Probably after understanding the king's divine elephant steps, Su Chen took out the qi and blood pills awarded by the school, and planned to familiarize himself with the 9 basic movements of the king's elephant step tonight, and then officially start practicing after entering the wild area tomorrow. At the same time, he was also looking forward to the spells included in the 9 movements of the king's divine elephant step. Just like the dragon scales and dragon teeth that come with the golden jade dragon emperor's body, the 2 major offensive techniques are the same. I don't know what kind of techniques the Dao Venerable King Elephant Step will bring. Will it be offensive or defensive? Shenfa. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Su Chen swallowed the qi and blood pill in his hand. Guardian Lu, someone just saw Su Chen buying a lot of first aid supplies for the wild from the hospital. He thinks he will leave the city and enter the wild area tomorrow. How about we send a team of rank 2 knights to follow us and take advantage of the opportunity? Baiyun City, Guangming Temple Branch. Jack, who was wearing platinum knight armor, made a gesture to Lu Yun. Although Su Chen's performance today was unexpected, in their opinion, he was just a martial arts practitioner after all. What about the once-in-a-century genius Martial Dao? After all, isn't he still a martial arts practitioner? And their future saintess candidate Bai Ruizu of the Temple of Light has just been named one of the 24 stars in Kyushu. Only 24 of the tens of millions of candidates in Kyushu. Su Chen, is he ranked in the queue? Therefore, from the perspective of Jack and other members of the Light God religion, Su Chen's existence will only hinder Bai Ruizu's progress and must be eliminated if necessary. Not yet. Lu Yun shook her head. Her old eyes looked at the live replay of Su Chen's mock exam at number 1 middle school, and said slowly, Su Chen is in the limelight right now. The Pai Ruyu talent, who is rare in a century, I am afraid that the Martial Dao Alliance has already taken a liking to him. I think it will take less than 2 days for someone from the Martial Dao Alliance to contact him. Although the Martial Dao Alliance will fall apart in 3 to 5 months, and it is already terminally ill and half of its body will be buried in the ground, after all, the dog is crazy and bites people. We, the Temple of Light, do not need to be in the limelight at this time and be targeted by the Martial Dao Alliance. Quote, don't worry about Su Chen's affairs for the time being. Martial Dao is a rare talent that is rare in a century. Martial Dao talent is as skin-like as jade. It sounds very scary, but it only has a greater advantage in the early stage. Compared with powerful professionals, it still has many shortcomings. Just like the speed of growth and evolution, according to previous rules, professionals who have awakened to the A-level combat system will probably have rank 2 strength in the second mock test 1 month later. And Su Chen, 1 month later, he's past his prime. The emergence of Pai Ruyu talent allowed him to make rapid progress in the martial artist realm in a short period of time, but then he will enter a stable period. Perhaps compared to other martial artists, his cultivation is still very fast, but compared to A-level and above professionals, slow as a turtle. This gap will get bigger as the timeline gets longer. So, if it doesn't go as I expected, he will be defeated in the second mock test and the competition between the 9 schools in Baiyun City. By then, Zhang Feng, Wang Hao, Sun Cheng and others will be defeated. All the opponents he has defeated will surpass him, and Ruizu will also understand the huge gap between Su Chen and her, and see the truth clearly. Quote, "No big deal, if he wins again next time, it won't be too late for you to take action." Lu Yun's reasonable analysis made Jack nod his head. He said with a bit of regret and expectation in a bad accent. "Okay, if he dares to get entangled with Miss Ruizu after he is defeated in the next mock test, I will take action myself. Let him see how powerful I am, the Holy Knight of the Light God." Jack clenched his fists. As an A-level divine power enhancer, what he is most proud of is the power of his physical body. I recall that just a few days after his awakening, when his health value was less than 100 points, he was able to fight a brute bull whose strength was comparable to those of rank 2 professional awakeners for 300 rounds without losing. Such strength has long been achieved. The branch of the Temple of Light has left records that are enough to become a god. ... Boom. In a wild jungle, a brute bull that was as powerful as a rank 2 professional awakener was punched to pieces by Su Chen. Blood mist flew. The shadow under Su Chen's feet instantly turned into a ferocious dark maw, swallowing up all the blood mist and brute force cattle bones floating in the air. Vitality value increased by 0.01. Closing square bracket. Sure enough, it has become less. The midday sun shines through the large ivy trees, casting mottled shade on the ground. Su Chen stood next to a big tree. "Take back your fist." He looked at the swallowing vortex rolling under his feet and couldn't help but touch his chin. Name: Su Chen. Blood value: 10.0. Cultivation level: early stage of flesh refining. Skills: perfect body tempering technique, heaven swallowing demon technique. Spells: dragon scales, dragon teeth, devouring mask, devouring heavenly demon clothes, devouring origin spear. Note: after completing the practice of perfect body tempering, you can obtain the immortal ascension technique. Closing square bracket. It can be clearly seen that the change in his chi and blood value was still more than 50 points last night. Today, he went out of the city to practice in this dangerous wilderness all morning, and as a result, his chi and blood value was only 10.0. It seemed as if he was retreating instead of making progress, returning to the time when he had just entered the rank 1 martial artist stage 10 days ago, but from the brute force he had just defeated with one punch, we could know that the result was obviously not like this. After all, the brutal bull is famous for its strength. Many people who claim to be geniuses may not be able to win it after fighting it for 300 rounds, but he destroyed the opponent with just one punch. His strength is obviously better than yesterday. A lot of improvements. Su Chen clenched his fist and carefully felt his current physical condition. If his body was a ball of cotton before, now it is a piece of fine iron. It was not enough that all the strength in his body penetrated up and down, but there was something like a change in the essence of life that surprised Su Chen. Recall the process of practicing the King of Gods and Elephant Steps. If he swallows the chi and blood pills and these ferocious beasts before practicing, his chi and blood will increase significantly. However, when he practices the King and Elephant Step, his own chi and blood will start to drop again. One rises and one falls. One replenishes and one consumes. Back and forth, the cycle continues. In fact, this situation had some manifestations when he was cultivating the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body, but it was not obvious at the time. The energy and blood he devoured was enough to make up for the energy and blood consumed in cultivating the Golden Jade Dragon Emperor body. But things are different now. The energy and blood consumed in practicing the King of God Elephant Steps is far greater than he imagined, and he is seriously unable to make ends meet. The energy and blood pills may only be used as jelly beans for him now, even now he is in the wild. He didn't even know how many ferocious beasts he had devoured that were much larger than him. But he still couldn't make up for the missing chi and blood, so his current chi and blood value dropped and returned to the original 10.0. And in this process of chi and blood continuously rising and being compressed, it was like forging iron, compressing the strength throughout his body even more solidly. Mo! Suddenly a beast roared. The brother of the brute bull just now saw his good friend being punched to death by Su Chen. After roaring angrily, he also rushed towards Su Chen. Bang! No surprises. It was still one punch, just one punch. The brute force bull, which was comparable in strength to the rank 2 awakener, was sent flying dozens of meters away by Su Chen. Although the blood value has decreased, the strength has actually increased, and it feels more solid and thick. The force of this punch is at least 10 tons. The ratio of vitality and strength is basically 1 to 1. Combat power should be at 10, 1000. And besides that, after assessing the changes in his body after practicing the King's Divine Elephant Step, Su Chen activated the heaven-swallowing demon technique again, and the demonic energy flowed on his palms and turned into a dark mask. This is his new discovery. As we all know, for many ordinary professional awakeners, a blood value of 10 points and 0 can be converted into almost 1 ton of power, or 100 points of combat power. The ratio is about 10 to 1. However, there are some geniuses in this world who are not like that. Also in a dense forest in a wild area, a middle-aged man with a thick build, a shaggy beard, and a rugged appearance was walking in the deep forest with a few students with relatively immature faces wearing the uniforms of no one middle school. As he walked, he explained, "After such a long time, I think you must have heard about the 1 emperor, the 4 emperors, the 16 princes, the 24 stars, and the 108 generals. Based on the current professional awakening situation, our JoJo official has decided on such titles, and will send reviewers to issue all these titles in the next period of time. Once the review is passed and the title token is issued, it will be the highest honor recognized by Kyushu, the title of Prodigy." Aha, I just saw it yesterday. This title is really cool. I wonder if I, Jong-san, will have a chance to be included in the list of 108 generals in the future. As for my brother Wong, he is at the level of a 24-day star. Oh, I'm low-key and low-key. If I want to be rated as a 24-day star, I still need a period of study and precipitation. Delicate crocodile leather shoes sparkle in the sun. It turns out that these students wearing school uniforms walking in the wild area are Wang Hao, Zhao Xiaoya, Zhong San, Li Si and others. As for the leading man, Wang Hao's cousin, Wang Meng, the first-class teacher, took a month's leave from school in order to avoid being kicked. He didn't dare to go back. He brought Wang Hao out today just to teach Wang Hao some knowledge about survival in the wild. But when he heard the conversation between Zhong San, Li Si and Wang Hao, the corner of Wang Meng's mouth twitched. He didn't know why, but he still looked decadent after being punched twice by Su Chen yesterday. After buying a new mecha this morning, his cheap nephew cheered up again and said he wanted to get a second prize. The title of the 14th star. This made Wang Meng not know what to say. But confidence is a good thing. So although Wang Meng was a little speechless, he did not undermine his nephew's confidence and just continued. You all know the titles of 1 emperor and 4 emperors. But I don't know if you have seen clearly the subsequent evaluation criteria. I know, it seems like a genius with 100 times the amount of combat power, a genius with 1,000 times the amount of combat power. What does this mean, Uncle Wang? Li Si scratched his head and asked doubtfully. 100 times the amount of genius combat power, 1,000 times the amount of genius combat power. This goes back to the issue I mentioned earlier. For many ordinary awakened people, 10 points of blood value can be exchanged for 1 ton of power, which is equivalent to 100 points of combat power. But some people are gifted and talented. A blood value of 10.0 can be converted into 2 tons, 3 tons, 4 tons, 5 tons, or even 10 tons of power, achieving a perfect 1, equivalent to 200, 300, 400, 500 or even 1000 combat power. And this is the so-called combat power of a 100-fold genius and the combat power of a 1,000-fold genius. It means that at the same level, you can hit 100 others, and you can hit 1,000 others. Hiss. Wang Meng's words made Zhong San and Li Si widen their eyes and take a breath of cold air. I read it on the JoJo official website earlier. 100 times the amount of genius combat power corresponds to 108 generals. 1,000 times genius combat power 24 stars. Behind the 16 princes and kings are 10,000 times more geniuses. Doesn't combat power say that a titled king can defeat 10,000 people? This is not outrageous. Don't forget the 4 emperors. What is the concept of combat power, 100,000 times genius? Can it still be considered a human being? If you put it this way, the most terrifying one is the first emperor, a genius with 1,000,000 times combat power. He is not someone who can win at the same level. It is so terrifying and perverted. S's S-level talent is so stupid. I don't know who it is. I'll be lucky enough to take a look at it during the college entrance examination and hold her in my lap. Zhang San and Li Si were so shocked that they cursed each other. My 10 points of vitality can only be converted into a few tons of strength. Don't talk about 1-to-1, even 9-to-1 may not be possible. Even Wang Hao's eyes widened. He really didn't expect that the 1,000,000 times genius combat power meant this. I remember Zhang San, your health value is 11.0, combat power is 130, right? Li Si, your health value is 11.5, and your combat power is 140, right? How many times is this genius combat power? How many times a point? They just fantasize about one emperor and 4 emperors. They don't have much concept yet, but as long as they put this concept of 1,000 times genius on the people around them, they will be able to instantly understand the value of such a titled genius. This is outrageous. Brother Wang, I remember that you seem to have more than 20 points of energy and blood. How many tons of strength can you have? I don't know who is talking too much, just for the sake of such a sentence. Wang Hao suddenly coughed twice. Thinking that his punching power was only 2 ton, he quickly explained with a slight cough. What, you, Brother Wang, and I are mecha masters, we can't count like this. Ding. Closing square bracket. Name, Wang Hao. Occupation, Mecha Division A. Chi and blood value, 25.0. Combat power, 250. Evaluation, double the amount of genius combat power. If you were not a mecha master, you would be awarded the title of the most standard miscellaneous fish. Closing square bracket. Name, Li Si. Occupation, B-level swordsman. Vitality value, 11.5. Combat power, 140. Evaluation, 1.21739 times the amount of genius combat power. It is recommended that you continue to practice on Shili Changpo and do not leave the village. It is dangerous outside. Closing square bracket. Name, Wang Mang. Occupation, B-level boxer. Closing square bracket. Vitality value, 300. Combat power, 6,000. Evaluation, 20 times the amount of genius combat power. Even if he is injured, he can fight 20 of them at the same level without any problem. Closing square bracket. Uncle Wang, how many times the genius combat power you mentioned is what is shown in the evaluation column on the combat power tester? Zhang San, who was wearing a brand new combat power tester on his head, raised his hand. That's right. Wang Mang nodded. The combat power tester the school will send you is a low-end version and can only estimate the combat power range within 1,000. And what I asked you to buy is the universal version. Combat power can basically be measured if it is less than 10,000. You can also see the opponent's strength and potential through the evaluation column above, so as to avoid offending people when you walk in the jungle without knowing the details of the opponent. Wang Meng's serious explanation obviously did not go down well with Zhang San's ears. He just shouted out with an exaggerated expression after getting Wang Meng's confirmation. Uncle Wang, you are so awesome. It's 20 times the amount of transcendent level genius combat power. It's really scary to fight against 20 people of the same level by one person. If my Uncle Wang was young, he might have been able to compete for the title of 108 generals. Ahem, that's it, keep a low profile. You, Uncle Wang, and I are still a long way from being a general-level genius. Zhang San's flattery made Wang Meng feel happy. He finally understood why his nephew was carrying Zhang San and Li Siliang around all day long. I've been traveling around a lot, and this is what it feels like. But although he was very happy to be blown away, Wang Meng was not blown away. JoJo distributes titles. Among the thousands of professional awakeners, there are only 108 general-level geniuses in total. The competition is fierce. You can imagine that you must have at least 300 times the genius's combat power to be eligible to be selected. You, Uncle Wang, are not enough for me. But As he spoke, Wang Meng patted Wang Hao on the shoulder and said encouragingly, I may not be qualified though. But Xiao Hao, you are an A-level mecha master. It is not impossible that you will have the opportunity to achieve the title of 108 generals in the future, so keep up your leveling these days. Cousin, I am optimistic about you. As for the loss to Su Chen this time, don't be too pessimistic. Su Chen is just showing off his courage for a moment. With his jade-skinned martial Dao talent, he is one step ahead of you, but how can martial Dao practice? Comparable to professional awakeners. Not to mention the one emperor, the 4 emperors, the 16 princes, and the 24 stars, the awakening genius at the level of 108 generals alone is enough to defeat Su Chen. The combat power of such 100 times genius is beyond his reach. The time for his talent to explode has passed, and the next step is just a stable period, while the time for your talent to explode has just begun, and the next step is a rapid development stage. Yes, Wang Hao nodded heavily, with confident eyes and a calm tone. Cousin, don't worry, I know all this. I won't be hit so easily. Su Chen is nothing. I thought he was quite powerful before I heard Uncle Wang introduce him to him. Now when I hear you talk about the 1 emperor and 4 emperors announced by our Kyushu, 100-fold combat genius, 1,000-fold combat genius, I know it. What the hell, martial Dao is a once-in-a-century prodigy with extremely skin-like skin. The conversion ratio between his health value and strength is more than 9 points to 1. He's just a little bit more than us, let alone he can do it. A perfect 1 to 124-star level genius, even the 108th general can leave him far behind and eat ashes. Quote, this time we beat us in the mock exam. It was just a monkey without a tiger in the mountains who became the king. We won a painless mock exam at school. I really thought that the martial Dao wizard, who was only seen once in a century, could be extraordinary in this era. Su Chen's peak period has passed. Cousin, just watch. There is no need for the National College Entrance Examination battlefield in 3 months, 1 month. I will defeat him in the second mock exam in 1 month and avenge yesterday's revenge. That is there a figure? Wang Meng and Wang Hao, who were chatting and bragging, did not notice that Zhang San, who was walking at the back of the team with a combat power tester on his head, stopped at this time. Through the bushes on one side, he found a figure in black clothes who was quite familiar 20 or 30 meters away from them, but he couldn't remember who he looked like for a while. But it doesn't matter who you are similar to, as long as it's not Su Chen. Let me take a look at your combat power rating first. I don't know if it's 1 time the amount of combat power or 2 times the amount of combat power. Can it surpass your third brother? The curious Zhang San smiled, turned on the combat power tester, and directly conducted a combat power scan on the figure. Yeah, Xiao Hao, I'm very happy that you think so. Uncle Wang, I will accompany you to level up this month, teach you survival knowledge in the wild area, and strive to make you punch Su Chen and kick first in the 9 school joint exam in a month. Uncle Wang, I'm relying on you to avenge my butt. When Zhang San was about to use the latest combat power tester to measure Su Chen's data, Wang Meng was still here arguing with Wang Hao. In fact, the reason why he was so active in caring about Wang Hao's upgrade, in addition to his own relationship, was that he was going to wait for the second mock exam of the 9 school joint exam in a month, and make another bet with Su Chen's class teacher Lao Chen. This time the bet will be directly increased tenfold. Whoever wins will kick the other person's butt 10 times. Of course, some people may say that he didn't fulfill his bet this time, isn't it a deadbeat? Then I can only say that I am not a scapegoat, I did not fulfill my promise, I just pushed it to the next time. When the second mock exam comes, my nephew, Wang Hao, will beat Su Chen, and he will just give old Chen a kick. Ha ha, Uncle Wang, don't worry, I will let you win back. Wang Hao raised a high-spirited smile at the corner of his mouth, as if he had just awakened 10 days ago. Even Zhao Xiaoya, who was standing by, had a more spirited look on her face after hearing this. Of course, it was not because of the overly speechless conversation between Wang Meng and Wang Hao. But, 108 generals, 24 stars. She felt that if she could find such a boyfriend, she could defeat Su Chen. Although Su Chen's martial Dao talent, which is rare in a century, sounds scary, she doesn't think Su Chen is better than the 24 stars officially conferred by JoJo. I'm afraid that just 108 generals, with 100 times the amount of genius combat power, will gradually leave Su Chen far behind. After all, these are the only 108 awakeners among the thousands of powerful professional awakeners in JoJo. So if I can find a titled awakener among the 108 generals, no, it's better to find a professional awakener of the 24-star level as a boyfriend. In this case, Su Chen may not be able to raise his head in front of me. Zhao Xiaoya, who was in extreme regret because of Su Chen's affairs, was most urgent at the moment, which was to quickly find a boyfriend who was more talented and more powerful than Su Chen to prove that she was not wrong, and Su Chen was not worthy of her. Now, it is obvious that the 108 generals and 24-star titled professional geniuses announced by JoJo are her best targets. But the only thing that gave Zhao Xiaoya a headache was, how can I meet them? After all, Baiyun City where she was located was not a big city. It was probably not easy to meet such a transcendent level professional genius of the 24-star level. Even Zhao Xiaoya doubted whether there was such a genius in their Baiyun City. While Zhao Xiaoya was worried about this, in the back, Zhang San was playing with the new combat power meter. Suddenly, the body trembled violently. Ding, ding. Name, profession, health value, 10.0. Combat power, 1300. Evaluation, 1 star, a genius with a combat power of 1000 times. The ratio of health value to strength has reached a perfect 1 or even exceeded. It cannot be measured by common sense. Even if the combat power is higher than this level of genius, please be extremely careful and do not easily conflict, because after the boss enters the rank 2 and rank 3 stages, the combat power may be slightly different from the value you saw at the beginning. Closing square bracket. The warning from the combat power tester sounded in his ears. Zhang San looked at the vague figure in a certain direction behind the bushes on one side, his eyes widened, his body trembled constantly, his face turned unnaturally pale, and drops of cold sweat flowed down. 24 stars. ... Uncle Wong, I found a problem. An ordinary person has 10 points of chi and health, and combat power is 100 points. A genius at the level of 108 generals is between 200, 300 and 900. 24 days of star-level talent, 10 points of combat power can reach 1000. If we calculate it this way, the combat power of the 16 princes and kings can reach 10,000 with 10 points of chi and blood, the 4 emperors have a combat power of 100,000, and the 1 emperor has a combat power of millions. Isn't this a bit too exaggerated? The people in front of Wang Hao and Zhao Xiaoya haven't noticed anything strange about Zhang San. They are all attracted by the questions raised by Li Si. Of course that's not how it's calculated. If this is the case, combat power will expand and collapse. Actually, the most perfect state is when the ratio of chi and blood to strength reaches 1:1. It will not exceed too much, otherwise the chi and blood will be meaningless to measure. So from the perspective of combat power, no matter how talented a person is, it is impossible for a person to have a vitality value of 10 o'clock. The combat power is 100,000 or 1 million. After all, physical fitness is limited here. Not to mention the emperor who has awakened an SSS level professional talent. Even if 100 SSS level talents are added to one person, he will still be fragile when he first awakens. Compared with ordinary awakened people, he will not be too far apart. The big gap is more than 10 times at most. The titles of the 1 emperor, 4 emperors, and 16 princes and kings are more of a measure of talent and potential in the future. If nothing unexpected happens in the future, we will definitely be able to reach a 1,000,000 level combat power and 100,000 level combat power potential. Therefore, this expansion in the combat power value will only appear below the 24-day star level. When it reaches the 24-day star level or above, there will be another set of evaluation criteria. Quote, you will know the specific details later when you meet the 24-star genius. You don't need to know now. After all, it's not that easy to be a star for 24 days. Wang Meng talked like a lecturer, but at this time, a discordant voice from behind interrupted Wang Meng. Narration. That, I think I already know that. Everyone turned to look. Uncle, will the 24-day star genius you mentioned be specifically marked star rating 1000 times combat power genius in the evaluation column? Quote? Wang Meng paused. How did you know? Because I saw it. Zhang San pointed at his combat power tester with a shocked expression as if he hadn't recovered yet. Here is a 24-day star 1000 times combat power genius. Zhang San's performance made Wang Hao frown slightly and feel displeased. He just said that he would work hard to become one of the 108 generals, and his goal was only to achieve the title of general, but now Zhang San said that there happened to be a 24-star transcendent level prodigy here. What does it mean? You want to change the boss, right? There's number 24-day star level prodigy here. Why did not I see? Wang Hao started yelling. It's no wonder he didn't believe it. After all, Baiyun City was not a big city on the Kyushu continent. It is extremely unbelievable that Leng Ruyu can awaken an SS-level talent and will most likely be named one of the 4 emperors. How could there be another star-rated prodigy, one of only 24 in the country? Su Chen's dick is far from qualified. To the opposite. After hearing Zhang San's words, Zhao Xiaoya's eyes lit up, and she couldn't wait to see where the star genius Zhang San mentioned was. Zhang San, you are serious. It's not that you saw it wrong. Uncle Wang, what I said is true. That's right. How can I not recognize such big characters? If you don't believe me, please take a look, Uncle Wang. Zhang San handed over the combat power tester. Wang Meng doubtfully took the combat power tester in his hand, and Wang Hao, Zhao Xiaoya, Li Si and others gathered around him. I want to see if it's true. Wang Hao crossed his arms with an arrogant expression. After saying this, before the words even landed, he could only hear, ding. A sound. Wang Meng projected the data on the combat power tester. Name, profession, blood value, 10.0. Combat power, 1003. Evaluation, a star genius with 1000 times the amount of combat power. The ratio of blood value to power has reached a perfect 1-to-1 or even exceeds it. It cannot be judged by common sense. Even if the combat power is higher than him, please be extremely careful, because the boss after entering rank 2 and rank 3, the combat power may deviate slightly from the value you saw at the beginning. Closing square bracket. Wang Hao. All knock. The health value is only 10.0, which is lower than mine, but the combat power is as high as over 1000. My health value is 11.5, but my combat power is only 160. The blood value and strength have reached a perfect 1. Doesn't that mean that a little blood value of the opponent represents a ton of power, and the density is 10 times that of ours? No wonder the combat power is so high. Is this the level of a 24-day star? Facts speak louder than words. When the virtual screen of the combat power tester was placed in front of everyone, Wang Hao could no longer say anything, and Li Si and others even let out bursts of exclamations. They simply can't imagine it. With a health value of 10.0, the combat power is as high as more than 1000. Then if the opponent reaches 100 health points, the combat power will be as high as 10,000, which is comparable to a rank 3 professional. Fight across a whole new realm. Is this what a 1000-fold combat power genius means? Li Si and others were a little stunned after wanting to inform him. Even Wang Meng's eyes widened at this time, and he was in a state of shock. He couldn't imagine that he was still discussing the transcendent level genius who was so small in number and could never appear in their Baiyun city again, and then appeared in front of him on the back foot. This is too outrageous. Correct. Quote, who is the other party? Wang Meng suddenly realized the crux of the problem. Apart from Leng Ruyu and Bai Ruizu, there should be no one else in Baiyun City who can be classified into the 24-star level, and at most they can only be 108 generals. But now another one suddenly appeared in the wild. Who is the other party? Where did you see him? Faced with everyone's anxious and curious inquiries, Zhang San shook his head first, then raised his finger and pointed in one direction. That was behind Wang Hao and others. Behind the bushes on the side. Everyone looked in the direction of Zhang San's finger. It's only about 20 or 30 meters away. A familiar figure turned and looked over. The figure that appeared in front of everyone was extremely mysterious. He wore a dark mask on his face, making it difficult to see his face. This mask is very strange. It feels like flowing water and starry sky. It is obviously static, but it feels extremely deep, as if it can absorb everything, sunlight, air, light. The dark mask seems to be slowly slowing down. It looks like a rotating black hole, and after looking at it for a long time, it seems that even your own sight will be drawn in and unable to escape, which gives people a chilling feeling. But if it was just like this, Wang Hao and others might feel strange and shocked, but they would not be stunned in place. What really made them freeze in place the moment they saw the shadow of Taoist? This man is tall and slender. The clothes they were wearing were completely different from their current clothes. Instead, they were wearing ancient robes. Those who didn't know it thought the other party was playing cosplay, but it was obvious that the material used in this suit was exactly the same as that weird mask. The whole body is as black as ink, with a few fine lines and outlines, revealing a different kind of mystery and charm. Black hair, black eyes, black mask and robe, dressed like this. The man was just standing in this dense forest. It's like a black hole standing at the center of the world. Once people cast their gaze, they can never look back. The dazzling light and noisy sounds seemed to be swallowed up when they touched the man. The surrounding area seemed extremely dark and quiet. Fortunately, although the other party's hair is long, it is not that long, and it is not black hair like a waterfall. This most crucial point is missing, otherwise Wang Mang, Wang Hao, Zhang San, Li Si, Zhao Xiaoya and others would have thought that the terrifying immortal cultivators in the novel had appeared. Devouring mask. Swallow heavenly demon clothes. These are two newly discovered abilities that Su Chen has discovered after improving his understanding of the heaven-swallowing demon technique. It is made from a large amount of concentrated heavenly demon gas. The devouring mask has the ability to shield the breath and prevent prying eyes. The heavenly demon swallowing clothes have extremely powerful defense and buffering effects. With the protection of the heavenly demon swallowing clothes, the enemy's attacks on him will be swallowed up as if they were driven into a swamp. Unless it exceeds his current load limit, it will not be possible at all. Can't hurt him. The emergence of these two abilities. Not only does it greatly enhance Su Chen's own strength, but it also allows him to hide his identity in an extra layer, making it easier to do things, such as grabbing treasures in the wild, and even if he has a life or death feud, he can do it in this way, which can greatly reduce the impact of such things on him. Negative impact. After all, although he is not afraid of many things, he still has a cheap sister at home. Although he is protected remotely by an owl, he can avoid many risks. Since he can be careful, he must be more careful. As for the hiding effect of the swallowing mask on identity, it's already out, isn't it? Looking at Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Hao and others who were standing more than 10 meters away from him, a satisfied smile appeared at the corner of Su Chen's mouth under the mask. Through their status, he can also judge. Perhaps I can use the universal combat power meter to detect my blood value, combat power data, etc., but I shouldn't be able to see my name. Otherwise, with his understanding of people like Zhang San and Li Si, he would have called them out a long time ago. Now he looks so stunned. Obviously they didn't recognize my identity and mistook me for some other mysterious figure. And this is enough. After all, the market standard combat power meter can even measure the combat power of a rank 3 professional below 10,000. He is just a martial artist now, and can block out his own name with the help of Pai Ruyu and Devouring Mask. The key information is almost enough. In the future, as his strength becomes stronger, information such as health value and combat power data will naturally be completely blocked. Therefore, after understanding the effectiveness of the swallowing demon mask, what interests Su Chen most at the moment is that in addition to the swallowing mask and the heavenly demon suit for cover and defense, he actually also has a weapon evolved from the heaven swallowing demon technique. Didn't take it out. Swallow the origin spear. Roar. Suddenly, a beast roar came from the distant mountain forest, attracting Su Chen's attention. Is it the wild boar king? The voice of the boar king. Did you find some treasure? Su Chen's eyes flickered. After entering the wild area, he was not only practicing on his own, but also released the 11 monsters in the abyss. Let them devour as much as they want, take the high-quality route, and told them that if they find any treasures along the way, come and call him. After all, even though he has the heaven-swallowing demon technique, which can swallow the flesh and blood of ferocious beasts and replenish their energy and blood, the ferocious beasts have eaten too much. You may also feel greasy, so it's good to eat some tiansai dabao with fresh and elegant taste to relieve the greasiness. The treasures of heaven and earth condense the essence of heaven and earth. If there were any rank 2, rank 3 treasures of heaven and earth that appeared, it would be too much for Su Chen to swallow more than 10 or 20 corresponding rank 2, rank 3 ferocious beasts. Eat a few more rank 2s. With 3's natural resources, he might be able to reach the level of flesh-refining basic accomplishment in less than 2 days. Now that the Wild Boar King is making such a big noise, they must have discovered something. Thinking of this, Su Chen did not hesitate, glanced at Wang Hao and others, and quickly ran towards the direction of the sound. Just in time to test the power of the devouring origin spear. He's gone. It scared me to death. I really don't know what profession he awakened. He had such a strong sense of oppression. The moment he looked at me, I felt like I was suffocating. Is this a 1,000-fold genius at the 24-day star level? After Su Chen left, Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Hao and others breathed a sigh of relief and started talking one after another. What is he going to do? A trace of regret and anxiety flashed in Zhao Xiaoya's eyes, and she felt very regretful in her heart. She was so overwhelmed by the momentum just now that she forgot to ask the other party for Prestige and Penguin. This is a 24-star transcendent level genius, and even though he didn't see his face, he could tell just by his body and posture that underneath the mask was an invincible transcendent level handsome guy. If he could find such a boyfriend, he would definitely make him. Su Chen feels inferior to death. But now the other party has just disappeared. If I don't keep up, I don't know if we can see each other again in the future, so how can I chase him? The more Zhao Xiaoya thought about it, the more anxious she became. There seemed to be a beast roar coming from that direction just now. He should have rushed to where the sound came from. How about we follow over and take a look? Wang Meng serves as the teacher leading the team. He frowned, and after weighing it for a moment, he decided to follow him and have a look. He also wanted to know the identity of this star genius who suddenly appeared. In a valley, there is a water pool hidden deep in the valley. The water pool is surrounded by cliffs, forming a hidden and beautiful place. The shape of the green grass pond is like a huge emerald gem, lying quietly in the valley. The sun shines on the water platform, reflecting a beautiful halo. The water pool is surrounded by various wild flowers and grass swaying in the wind. The surrounding trees, jungles, and various large rocks and small slopes are quiet and beautiful, giving people a feeling of getting away from the hustle and bustle and returning to nature. But now at the edge of this silent and beautiful pool. But there were 2 ferocious beasts as big as double-decker buses roaring and colliding with each other. 2 ferocious beasts. The head was completely black, covered with rough and stiff hair, and possessed a demonic entanglement. It was the Wild Boar King released by Su Chen. Opposite it there is also a huge beast. He is a one-horned rhinoceros, with blue-gray skin as tough as a rock, and solid muscles as hard as tight steel bars and full of power. His huge 4 hooves are galloping on the ground, like a small earthquake shook the earth with a loud roar, and countless large and small pebbles jumped up and down. Boom! 2 huge ferocious beasts collided suddenly. It was like 2 giant trucks with full horsepower colliding on the highway. The sound was so loud that the whole ground shook violently. It's the mutated Wild Boar King. Meeting acquaintances makes you feel extra relaxed. Zhang San and Li Si, who followed all the way nearby, almost spat out their feces and urine as if they were in a stress reaction when they saw the Wild Boar Queen. Even Wang Hao was so frightened that he peed a drop. But fortunately, he retracted in time because he discovered. This is not the Wild Boar King in the school copy. The mutant Wild Boar King in the school copy is only rank 1 high level. With your current strength, Brother Wang, and I, if we fight again, we will definitely beat him to death. But this Wild Boar King is different. You see, although it looks exactly the same in appearance, its size has obviously expanded. It has changed from a baby bus to a double-decker bus. Its strength has entered the realm of a rank 2 ferocious beast. Quote, it can compete with this rank 2 green-horned rhinoceros. The strength of this pig-shaped Wild Boar King is probably at the early stage of rank 2, and its combat power is about 2,500. Wang Meng, the team leader on the side, gave a serious evaluation. As we all know, in terms of combat power in the same realm, it is difficult for ordinary human awakened people to be able to match the ferocious beasts. Faced with such a huge beast, sometimes combat power doesn't decide everything. Just like this mutant wild boar king and the green-horned rhinoceros opposite, they are both rough-skinned, thick flesh, and powerful. As humans, if you encounter such a huge beast in the wild, if you don't have a special weapon, even if the combat power is 1 or 2,000 higher than this beast, my suggestion is that you try not to use it unless necessary. Provoke. Although Wang Mang is thick, slovenly, and looks like a greasy middle-aged man, he has to be said to be the head teacher of Class 1 of Baiyun No. 1 Middle School and a lecturer. He taught students in accordance with their aptitude and took advantage of the on-site conditions to explain some outdoor knowledge to Wang Hao and others. Uncle Wang, why do you think this mutant wild boar king and the green-horned rhinoceros started fighting? Behind a small slope covered by big trees, Zhang San asked out the doubts in his heart. Why are you fighting? Wang Mang murmured something while he was thinking about the possible reasons. Look, what is that? Everyone looked in the direction of Li Si's finger. I saw a blood-red lotus floating on the water in the pool behind the wild boar king and the green-horned rhino. The lotus flower is no more than the size of a palm. But it is extremely delicate and beautiful, and looks crystal clear. Under the sunlight, you can even see the lines in the lotus petals that look like human capillaries. Blood-red lotuses bloom above the dark pool. Outstanding. When the petals bloom, there was an elegant fragrance that lifted people's spirits and made their blood and energy in their bodies feel like they were about to break through. It's a rank 3 treasure. Blood lotus. Wang Mang's eyes widened and he called out the name of the lotus flower above the pool. Blood lotus is also known as Qi blood lotus. There are 18 petals in total. Each petal of the flower and leaf contains huge vitality of qi and blood, which can not only replenish qi and blood for the professional to achieve a rapid breakthrough, but also has the therapeutic effect of killing human flesh and white bones. Before the era of national awakening, it is a qi, blood and yang medicine that is more tonic than ginseng, and a healing sacred object that is more magical and rare than Ganoderma lucidum. Even a dying person only needs to hold one petal in his mouth to keep him alive. Because it has the effects of replenishing qi and blood and treating injuries at the same time, Qi blood lotus is one of the rare natural treasures that is mild and can be swallowed directly, with almost no risks or digestive burden. For professionals, especially those who have just awakened and are still relatively fragile, it is a valuable treasure that can be encountered but cannot be sought. It can help you improve your strength in the shortest possible time. Hiss. Wang Hao took a breath of cold air, his eyes burning. No wonder the mutant wild boar king and the green-horned rhinoceros fought so fiercely. It turned out to be because of this blood lotus. More than that, ordinary blood lotus flowers are only rank 2, but this blood lotus flower is a rare rank 3 treasure. Not to mention you, I am a great tonic even for your uncle. When Wang Mang said these words, his eyes were staring directly at the blood lotus above the pool, and his tone was scorching. What are we waiting for? Cousin, come on in. You are a genius with 20 times the combat power. Your combat power is as high as 6,000. These two beasts combined are no match for you. Wang Hao urged, already a little anxious. He also wants to experience the pleasure of taking drugs without side effects and upgrading. Now his matching degree with high-level combat mecha has reached 66.666%. If he can get this blood lotus, maybe he will be able to reach a matching degree of more than 80% immediately, and by then he will be able to drive a combat mecha. It took less than a month to take the second mock test, and he immediately turned around and sought revenge on Su Chen. Let you dismantle my mecha. Wait, don't worry. Teacher Wang's small class has begun. Although Wang Mang also wanted to capture the blood lotus as soon as possible. But at this moment, the two beasts have obviously just started fighting. They are still in a state of complete victory. They have not suffered much damage. On the contrary, the collision between the two beasts is very wild. If I take action at this time, the two beasts will definitely be targeted. Although I am not afraid, the snipe and the clam will fight, and the fisherman will benefit. Why don't we wait until both of us are injured after fighting these two ferocious beasts before taking action? At that time, not only can I take the blood lotus into my hands, but I can also take in these two ferocious beasts. The two rank 2 ferocious beasts, the mutated wild boar king and the green-horned rhinoceros, are full of treasures and can be sold for at least 3 to 5 million. Quote. 666. As expected of our Uncle Wang, we can think so far. I admire you. Zhang San and Li Si shouted 666 from the side. Wang Meng waved his hand and said with a proud smile on his lips. This is nothing, just some basic wilderness knowledge. From now on, if you follow me, watch and study hard, you will understand this truth. You look like the mysterious boy prodigy we met today. Although I don't know where he is now. But your Uncle Wang, I can assure you with my butt that he must have the same idea as us, silently waiting for the best time to take action after the two beasts fight until both are injured. This is what a smart person does. Quote. Boom. Suddenly there was a loud sound from the water pool ahead. Everyone quickly looked up, taking advantage of the moment when the two beasts collided, separated and shook their heads to recover. Su Chen's figure suddenly shot out from the dense forest and came to the top of the green-horned rhinoceros. With the waist as the center and the spine as the bridge, he twisted his waist to send force, condensing every inch of power in his body into one point, and moved halfway up the air from top to bottom. Turning around, it was like a pitch-black spear, aiming straight at the back of the green-horned rhino's neck. Dragon teeth. Roar. Covered by the heavenly demon chi of the devouring demon skill, Su Chen's jet-black dragon fangs were like a ferocious dragon coming out of the abyss, biting away from top to bottom, with even more terrifying lethality. Just one blow then the green-horned rhinoceros, which is known for its defensive power, will penetrate it. A huge roar echoed. Su Chen hit it from the air and carried the huge force, causing the entire green-horned rhinoceros to collapse to the ground with a roar. The ground cracked and smoke and dust flew everywhere. Wang Meng. Su Chen's sudden move made Wang Meng, who was pretending to be a famous teacher in front of Zhang San, Li Si and others, dumbfounded. He never expected that the other party would take action at this time. Could it be that at this time, as normal people, shouldn't we wait until the two beasts fight until they are exhausted and both sides are injured, then take action? Could it be that the other party is a reckless man? Although Wang Meng was stunned, the others were not stunned. Everyone screamed in surprise when they saw the mysterious prodigy taking action so brazenly. Hiss. So strong. Did you see it just now? It's so cool. Although it feels a bit similar to the one used by Su Chen, I think this one is very handsome, much more handsome than Su Chen's one. There seems to be a black dragon chi appearing in a flash. What is his profession? This is a genius with 1,000 times the amount of combat power. His health and vitality are not as high as mine, but he can knock down a green-horned rhinoceros as big as a 2-story car to the ground with one punch. In comparison, Su Chen is nothing. We are not even qualified to carry this big man's shoes. This is the real power of our professional awakeners. Zhang San and Li Si exclaimed, their faces full of admiration and excitement. It seemed that if it weren't for Wang Hao here, they would have run over to recognize the new boss on the spot. Zhao Xiaoya was also full of surprise. Her beautiful eyes were sparkling when she looked at that figure. She just felt that the other person was so cool and handsome that her legs felt weak. His goddess and little brother were all so excited because of another man. This made Wang Hao on the side feel a little unhappy, but it was hard to say anything. After all, the other party had a star rating, and he was only 20 among the thousands of professional awakeners in Kyushu. The 4 of them are indeed very strong and outrageous. Idiot. However, when everyone was admiring that figure and Wang Hao was depressed, there was an angry voice that made Wang Hao happy. I saw. Wang Meng, who was on the side, turned around and cursed loudly. The green-horned rhinoceros is huge, famous for its rough skin and thick flesh, and its defensive power. Even if you just used some unknown means to break through its defense, leaving penetrating damage. But the little damage you suffered is simply a superficial injury considering the huge size of the green-horned rhinoceros. It won't hurt the deep-seated vitals. Instead, it will irritate the opponent and increase the explosive energy. It will be in danger eventually. Moo. It was exactly as Wang Meng said. The green-horned rhinoceros, which was knocked to the ground by Su Chen, stood up from the ground again. He let out an angry roar at Su Chen. This two-legged beast actually dared to attack him. He will crush it to death. Everyone's mood suddenly became tense again. The green-horned rhinoceros began to beat up and down violently, preparing to throw Su Chen off him. Boom boom boom. The earth shook. The expressions of Zhang San, Li Si and others also changed from the initial admiration to shock. They didn't expect the green-horned rhino to be so powerful. The blow just now seemed to have caused no harm to it at all. It is still alive and kicking, full of vigor and vitality, and even angrier. I have told you a long time ago that in the same realm, we human awakened people have no advantage over these ferocious beasts. He can be rated as a 24-day star. His talent strength must be extraordinary, and he may be an S-level professional talent. But no matter what, his health value is only 10.0 after all. If he crosses a huge realm and confronts a green-horned rhinoceros with a health value of hundreds of points, he will definitely suffer a big loss later. Quote, not to mention that there is a mutant wild boar king watching eagerly. If he had not made any other preparations, he would have paid a heavy price for his arrogance today. Teacher Wang, the second class of the small class has begun. No matter how talented you are, no matter how strong your strength is, if you don't have a good brain, everything will be in vain. I won't save him until the last minute of today's matter. You should take this as a warning, think twice before doing anything, and don't be like him again, thinking that you are strong and talented and do such brainless things. Wang Mang held his arms in his arms and made serious and sharp comments. Everyone nodded in agreement. Uncle Wang is right. It's true that we thought the green-horned rhinoceros was too simple. This is a rank 2 ferocious beast. If Teacher Wang hadn't been by our side, we would have run away long ago. Although the opponent is rated as a 1,000-fold combat power star genius, in the final analysis, the health value is only 10.0. He has just entered the realm of rank 1. How can he win against the green-horned rhino of rank 2? Wang Hao sneered when he thought of this. Stupidity is the biggest disease. This is a fact that no matter how powerful the talent is after awakening, it cannot be concealed. Not everyone is like you, Brother Wang, and I, with an IQ of up to 1 million, so there is no need to worry about this issue at all. Maybe we can witness the fall of a star today. Wang Hao's speech made Zhao Xiaoya cast a worried look. Moo, moo, the water rippled and the giant beast roared. The green-horned rhinoceros was still jumping up and down violently, trying to throw Su Chen off his body. So full of vigor and vitality. It didn't exceed Su Chen's expectations. After all, Wang Mang could think of the problem, so how could he not know about it? From the beginning, he had no intention of using dragon teeth to solve the problem of the green-horned rhinoceros. Wow! Su Chen's palm penetrated the back of the green-horned rhino's neck and pulled it out. Blood spurted out instantly. However, the strange thing is that there is not a drop of blood left on the palm that Su Chen pulled out. All the blood splashed on his body seems to have been swallowed up by the heavenly demon clothes, leaving no trace. It can only be seen on the cultivation panel. The number will jump until the vitality and blood value is increased by 0.00001. Su Chen naturally didn't care about this at this moment. After he pulled his hand out, the green-horned rhinoceros screamed in pain, his eyes became red, he jumped up and down, and his behavior became more violent. Even he felt that he might be knocked down at any time. At this point, Su Chen no longer hesitated. Demonic energy rolled around him. The icy cold heavenly demon energy gathered and condensed in his palm like running water, and finally turned into a pitch-black spear that appeared in Su Chen's hand. Swallow the Origin Spear. The Swallowing Origin Spear is a weapon evolved from the essence of the heaven-swallowing demon technique. It has an unparalleled swallowing function. Its biggest feature is the swallowing power. The entire spear is like a spear-shaped black hole, but it only appears in Su Chen's hands. At this moment, all the sound, light, dust, and fallen leaves that fell on the spear from all directions were directly swallowed up. Even though the source-devouring spear is now in a hidden state and has no explosive power, those with keen senses may have been able to detect something wrong with the airflow at this time. Any air that comes close to this spear is basically swallowed up. It is being swallowed continuously, and is replenished by a steady stream of air. Therefore, got windy. Zhao Xiaoya in the distance raised her hand with a confused expression. What is that? He conjured a black spear. He is dressed in black and has a cold black energy on his body. Could it be that he has awakened the rare S-level dark professional talent? Hey, I don't know why I always feel a little cautious when looking at this spear. Zhang San, Li Si and others discussed in surprise because of the black spear that suddenly appeared in Su Chen's hand. Wang Mang on the side frowned. I actually felt a strong aura of danger from the dark spear. But I still say the same thing. Ferocious beasts and humans are different. He can still feel a sense of danger from ordinary pistols, but as a dignified rank 2 professional, ordinary pistols can kill him in battle. It's impossible. So, just because his spear can bring me a dangerous aura doesn't mean it can defeat me, let alone the green-horned rhinoceros. This is also the knowledge you will learn from the wild in the future. What if it is a rare S-level dark professional ability? Unless you can rub a black hole with your hands, don't think that you have some trump card that can transcend levels and fight unscrupulously in the wild. The power of the beast, it is simply not comparable to those who are awakened by professions in the same realm. You think you are the only one who has trump cards and big moves. Others ferocious beasts are just made of clay and don't have the talent divine ability to win over the bottom of the box. Hiss. Wang Meng's wise and confident words made Zhang San and Li Si take a breath of cold air instantly. They withdrew their attention from the devouring origin spear in Su Chen's hand and looked at Wang Meng in a blink of an eye. Guessed with a shocked look on his face. Uncle Wang, what do you mean? Moo. On the edge of the pool, above the back of the green-horned rhinoceros. Centered on the spear in Su Chen's hand. A light breeze blew. As if the god of death was taking his life, the furiously beating green-horned rhinoceros seemed to have received a death warning from its life instinct, and suddenly let out a huge roar. Its blue-gray stone skin instantly turned red, and the hot blood-red steam erupted from it. Spurting out from its body surface, the size of the green-horned rhinoceros swelled in an instant, its aura doubled, and its power was astonishing. It's exactly what Uncle Wang said. Going into a violent state. Behind the small slope not far away, Zhang San and Li Si immediately looked at Wang Meng with admiration and admiration. This made Wang Meng's mouth reveal a smile of, "I'm sorry for being faked." The green-horned rhinoceros entered a violent state. After its strength and mobility were greatly increased, it jumped into the air. When it landed, its huge body carried extremely powerful inertial energy and shook Su Chen from the ground. The back shook and flew high into the sky. Moo. After knocking Su Chen away, the green-horned rhinoceros immediately turned around and roared angrily at Su Chen high in the sky. 4 hooves slammed into the ground. Its huge body soared out instantly like a cannonball, and its strong green horns collided directly with Su Chen in midair. It seemed like it was going to smash the two-legged beast to pieces. "Ah, careful," Zhao Xiaoya exclaimed, covering her eyes and not daring to look any further. Wang Meng crossed his arms, shook his head, sighed, and spoke in the tone of a professional lecturer. "As I said just now, the battle between the green-horned barbarian bull and the mutant wild boar king has just entered the testing stage, and neither side has used their full strength at all. But this reckless man rushed straight up. He didn't understand what it meant to wait for work. The snipe and the clam were fighting each other. Now it's time to eat the consequences. The green-horned rhinoceros has rough skin and thick flesh, and is known as a blood cow. Has one of the most simple and crude talent skills, violent mode. In this mode, all attributes of the green-horned bull are doubled. The combat power reaches almost 3,000. It is simply not something that ordinary professionals can handle. This is why I have been emphasizing that no matter what ferocious beasts you face in the jungle, you should not take it lightly. No one knows whether the opponent has any powerful talent skills. Just watch. Facing the green-horned rhinoceros in a violent state, this star genius will probably be half disabled or even dead next time. We should learn from him. Don't think that no matter how powerful you are, you can just waste your talent." Quote. Yeah, Wang Meng's words and teachings made Zhang San, Li Si and others nod seriously and expressed that they had learned. In midair, Su Chen naturally didn't know what Wang Meng's people thought of him in the distance. He just recalled the ability of the wind to swallow the origin spear. He turned around, adjusted his posture, turned his whole body 180 degrees, his eyes were shining brightly, and he faced the green-horned rhinoceros head-on, holding the spear tightly in his hand. Swallow the origin spear. It has 2 functions. In the static mode, the devouring power is hidden and can be used as a weapon like a spear. The second mode is active. The heaven-devouring and earth-devouring energy belonging to the devouring origin spear will be fully stimulated. With the tip of the spear as the mass point, a strong devouring gravity will erupt. It will be like driving a small black hole into the enemy's body, which can absorb the living body from the inside. And the outside is completely devoured. And this move is called swallowing the sky. As Su Chen gave a soft drink, he pressed down with one hand, and placed the hand holding the spear behind his back. Like a bow drawn over the full moon, he suddenly projected it out. The spear in his hand shot towards the oncoming Kingming like a black meteor. Horned rhinoceros shoots away. It pierced the forehead of the green-horned rhinoceros with almost no obstruction. Half a foot deep. What a strong penetrating power. But, that's it. Zhang San, Li Si and others hiding behind the small mound were both exclaimed and disappointed. I thought this spear looked so powerful that it would cause a big explosion when fired. But this is what happened. Apart from being a bit sharper, it is really just an ordinary spear, and the 24 stars are nothing more than that. Quote. The expressiveness of this move seemed to disappoint them. Wang Meng even shook his head and sighed, commenting verbally. This injury cannot cause fatal damage to the green-horned rhinoceros at all. It doesn't even stop the opponent's movements. You see, if nothing happens next, he will be hit by the green-horned rhinoceros immediately. Moo. Sudden. The painful cry of the green-horned rhinoceros not far away attracted the attention of Wang Meng's people, and they subconsciously turned their heads to look. This is where truly horrific things happen. I saw. After the devouring origin spear was inserted into the green-horned rhino's forehead, its power seemed to be completely activated. The powerful devouring gravity instantly erupted with the tip of the spear as the center, just like the birth of a black hole particle. Centered on this point, the body of the green-horned rhinoceros instantly began to twist and collapse, bursting out with a painful cry, as if a pair of invisible giant hands were constantly tightening and compressing its huge body towards a certain point. Before the sharp green horn hit Su Chen, it was swallowed up by the black hole particle in midair and completely disappeared from the world without any trace left. Vitality value added 0.05. Closing square bracket. The reminder on the immortal cultivation panel sounded, and Su Chen landed safely on the ground at this time. Above it, a swallowing black hole as black as a grain of rice was frantically sucking in the remaining blood mist of the green-horned rhinoceros, conspicuous like an ink droplet on a scroll in the sky. The vortex turns and swallows the whale in all directions. After all the remaining blood mist of the green-horned rhino was swallowed up, the fallen leaves in the air and the dust in the pond water from all directions could not escape the swallowing of the black hole vortex, and a storm wave rose on the ground. Not far away, Zhang San, Li Si, Wang Meng and others were stunned. Their hair was blowing upside down and they didn't realize it. They just looked up blankly, looking at the dark light spots in the air as big as grains of rice, and blinked. What the hell? This is so black and dirty, what is it? Why does it feel familiar? Where's the green-horned rhinoceros? A dull voice came from the mouths of Zhang San, Li Si and others. Not only were their expressions dull, but their thoughts could not turn around at this moment. In other words, they had actually realized what the dark ink-like luster in the air was, but their brains cast a layer of fog over them to give them a little buffering time to accept. And this buffering time is exactly when the swallowing vortex continues to swallow and rotate, from the size of a grain of rice to the size of a sesame seed, and from the size of a sesame seed to the size of a needle eye. Until the moment it disappears. The fog in the minds of Zhang San, Li Si and others was completely blown away at this moment. Everyone screamed when they realized what they had just seen. Rub the black hole with your hands. Nima, this is still a human being. This is a 24-star level genius with 1,000 times the amount of transcendent level combat power. The boss is kneeling down. When such a scene appeared, let alone people like Zhang San and Li Si who were already kneeling down to recognize the boss. Even Wang Hao's face turned pale, his knees softened and he almost fell to his knees. So handsome. Zhao Xiaoya showed her nymphomaniac eyes. Black holes are much more handsome than mechas. Uncle Wang, what do you say? Didn't you say that even a genius with 24-star levels and 1,000 times the amount of combat power would still suffer a loss when fighting against ferocious beasts at a higher level? How do you solve the black hole by rubbing the opponent's hand? Wang Meng's face twitched with the words of these two idiots, Zhang San and Li Si. Although it was extremely unbelievable in his heart, as a professional teacher in the first class of middle school, he would not allow students to see his jokes. Even if he was criticized, Wang Meng still trying to keep his face calm, he crossed his arms, shook his head like an elder, and pointed out in an unhurried tone. You guys are just too impatient and don't look at things comprehensively. As a rare S-level darkness professional, he can rub black holes with his hands, and he is indeed worthy of the name of the 24 stars. But how many times do you think he can rub this ultimate trick? You didn't see the spear he transformed. Has the black hole disappeared long ago? Opposite him, don't forget that there is a mutant wild boar king who is as powerful as the green-horned bull. He is not a summoner who can still rely on summoned beasts to fight when his physical strength is gone. In this case, what else can be done? Hiss. Wang Meng's wise and calm analysis made Zhang San and Li Si take another breath. His eyes are full of admiration. Uncle Wang, you are too calm and too smart. Why are you thinking so comprehensively? We didn't even notice such an important thing just now. Yes, after rubbing the black hole with his hands, his physical strength must have been exhausted. It is impossible to rub out a second black hole. But now there is a mutant wild boar king on the opposite side, and he may be in danger next. Ah, sorry, the wild boar king is targeting him. Walk towards him. Teacher Wang, hurry up and save him. Seeing the wild boar king on the edge of the pool approaching Su Chen with his huge body, Zhang San and Li Si's group suddenly exclaimed. Snort. The emergence of this situation made Wang Meng, who was pretending to be successful again, smile proudly. He shook his head and said in a very Versailles manner. So, exercise should be done first to strengthen the brain. You should have seen clearly what happened today through him. No matter how strong or talented you are, you should use your brain more before taking action. Otherwise, what if you try your best to defeat a green-horned rhinoceros? There is a mutant wild boar king waiting for him. Teacher Wang, stop preaching and go save him. Seeing the terrifying wild boar king approaching her future husband step by step, but Wang Meng was still here to be a teacher and had no intention of taking action, Zhao Xiaoya became anxious. Well, not urgent. However, in the face of Zhao Xiaoya's urging, Wang Meng just raised his hand indifferently, and said slowly while looking at the situation ahead with a pair of bull's eyes. Remember what I said earlier. Two dogs fight, play off. Although he must have spent a lot of energy rubbing the black hole with his hands just now, he is still able to stand up and confront the wild boar king. I guess he is not at the end of his rope. Let the two of them continue fighting for a while. When our star-level genius is about to lose, and your teacher and I take action again, do you think he will be more grateful to us? He will be so grateful that he will directly give us the blood lotus hands as a life-saving gift. 666. Wang Meng's rather confident teaching philosophy made Zhang San and Li Si shout 666 with great knowledge. Uncle Wang, you are such a fool. You have manipulated human psychology. Ha ha, keep a low profile. Actually, you, Uncle Wang, and I are not that powerful, I just have a little more experience than you, that's all. You can also learn from it in the future. Wang Meng smiled sheepishly after being praised, his greasy old face full of an indescribable sense of complacency. But, cousin, after all, the opponent is a star genius with 1,000 times combat power. Maybe he still has some trump cards that he hasn't brought out yet. If he wins the battle between him and the wild boar king, what should we do later? Wang Hao raised another possible question at this time. It doesn't matter, I will take action. However, this problem seemed not to trouble him at all, nor to Wang Meng at all. Regarding Wang Hao's question, he just had a calm expression and a serious expression, and spoke calmly like an invincible master. If things really develop to that point, I will take action myself when the time comes. A touch of words, a touch of encouragement. Although it was just a simple sentence, it made people sigh from the bottom of their hearts. They felt that Wang Meng's figure had grown taller, leaving people speechless to refute. Wang Hao could only use a method that seemed to have already known the answer in advance, asked in a tone of voice. The opponent is a 24 star, will he win? Do not worry, it's guaranteed to win. Throat. At this time, the direction of the pool. The wild boar king was less than 10 meters away from the mysterious prodigy. Seeing that this man and the beast were about to fight, Wang Meng also waved his hand. Don't talk about whether these things are available or not. Wait until he passes the wild boar king level first. Don't talk about his qualifications to be enemies with you, Uncle Wang, or me. Maybe he still needs you, Uncle Wang, to save him. Quote. After Wang Meng finished saying this, everyone stopped talking, held their breath, raised their heads, and focused their attention on the opposite side. The edge of the pool. Avertisement. The mutant wild boar king, which was 3 to 4 meters tall and 8 to 9 meters long, approached the figure step by step. Its thick black hair and huge body were extremely oppressive, and a pair of dark white fangs were visible. A sharp luster shines in the sunlight. Compared to its huge size, a human being is no bigger than a fang in front of it. One large and one small, such a clear contrast between the two. Zhang San and Li Si, who had brought themselves into it, could not help but shudder. It's true that we were overthinking just now. We actually thought that he could still defeat this mutant wild boar king. I'm afraid we don't need Teacher Wang to take action at all. Just this rank 2 mutant wild boar king is enough to defeat him, who has almost exhausted his physical strength. Crushed to death. Unless he can rub the black hole with his hand again, there is no way he can defeat this wild boar. How can I rub the black hole with my hands again? Look at him standing there so stupidly that he doesn't dare to move. He must have used up too much energy just now. He can barely stand. How can he rub the black hole with his hands again? Today, if our teacher Wang hadn't been kind enough to help, we might have witnessed the death of a star. The classmates from No. 1 middle school were talking about it. When Wang Mang heard these words, he raised his chin proudly and smiled crookedly, as if he was ready to show off and save people at any time. And that's the next moment. When all the students thought that the wild boar king was going to charge and knock the opponent away. Plop! The earth trembled. The mutant wild boar king, which was 3 to 4 meters tall and looked like a double-decker bus, lay directly in front of the figure, lowered its head and made a squeaking sound from its mouth. It seems like he is trying to please. Ah! This sudden turn of events, let alone Zhang Sanli's, even Wang Mang, who had always folded his arms and maintained the demeanor of a famous teacher, his eyes were as big as bells, and he couldn't hold back at all, and he almost burst out. Although the characteristic of Tianyuan 10,000 demons is to devour the same kind, leaving only the strongest, this does not mean that these demonic beasts under his command can only evolve by devouring the same kind. In fact, there is no limit. Just like him, no matter whether they are of the same kind or not, they are biological creatures. As long as it can provide energy, it can be swallowed and digested. But in the past, the environment in the schools and the city was generally quite safe, so at that time he mainly focused on replenishing the number. And now he came to this wild area. The wild land is full of dangers, and there is no ethics at all. Sometimes Su Chen pays more attention to quality development than quantity. Therefore, if there is no unexpected situation, he has no plans to increase the number of monsters in Tianyuan in the short term. Instead, he plans to cultivate the 11 monsters in his hands first and let them devour and grow as much as they want. Regardless of whether they are of the same kind or not, they will eat whatever they see. What? Take the high-quality route, and try to wait until these 11 monsters have the strength of rank 3, and then consider adding some other monsters into the abyss. And at this moment, bang kai, Su Chen touched the Wild Boar King's head and was evaluating the changes in the Wild Boar King's battle. When he was first released, his strength was only at the early stage of rank 2, with a combat power of just over 1,000. But now it is above 2,000 points. The strength is almost doubled. Not to mention that it doesn't look like 2,000 combat power points or much, but don't forget, he only released the Wild Boar King for one morning. He broke through a realm in one morning, and it was still in the rank 2 realm, which was much faster than him leveling up. If this kind of thing spreads, I don't know how many people will be shocked, not to mention that he has also released 10 other monsters. I think the result will not be too bad. What are the details? He has just issued a recall. He gave the order to wait until Brother Chicken, Kung Fu Rabbit, Turtle, come back and then check them carefully. I guess the overall strength should be improved to a higher level. Not bad. Su Chen patted the Wild Boar King on the head and smiled happily. Rank 2 is hard to say yet, but according to the previous rules. Generally speaking, the strength of the top scorer in the Kyushu College entrance examination is probably around rank 3. The strength is comparable to that of Martial Dao Grandmaster. Now, whether he can sprint to the level of Martial Dao Grandmaster within 3 months is not yet said, but monsters like the Wild Boar King should be stable. But I heard that this year's college entrance examination lineup is unprecedentedly luxurious. One emperor, 4 emperors, 16 princes, 24 stars, and 108 generals. Even SSS-level talent professionals showed up. Using the previous rule that rank 3 is the strongest as a training goal is obviously not very suitable. Our next training goal is to try our best to reach rank 4. And my words, just try to complete all the 9 exercises included in the perfect body tempering technique before the college entrance examination, and obtain the immortal ascension technique. In this way, with double insurance, Su Chen could be absolutely sure to eliminate any possibility of accidents. As for now, the road must be walked step by step, and the meal must be eaten one bite at a time. So the next small goal is to achieve flesh refining basic accomplishment first. My body is as heavy as 1,000 stones. Su Chen turned his head and looked at the blood lotus in the center of the pool. The rank 3 treasure, blood lotus, should be enough for me to cultivate to the point of flesh refining basic accomplishment. Ah, rabbit, Master Mouse, I will definitely skin your rabbit. Somewhere in the wild jungle, a short man with a slightly wretched appearance yelled angrily at the black rabbit in the distance. Today, their blood wolf mercenary group went out hunting for treasure. When they happened to walk near here, a wild dog with a relatively sensitive nose said that it smelled the smell of treasure, which was at least rank 3 or above. However, the distance was a bit far away and the smell was not very clear. The wild dog wanted to get closer to investigate, while their large force stayed in place. After confirmation, the wild dog would come back to notify them. And during this waiting time, Mr. Mouse was feeling a little hungry. He happened to see a little rabbit and was about to catch it for a beating. However, he didn't expect that the rabbit kicked him over as soon as he got close. Ha ha ha, you can't even catch a rabbit from a mouse. It's better not to call him Lord Mouse in the future. Instead, call him your mouse in peace. You were kicked down with just one kick. You must have been frightened by the giant black-scaled python just now and your legs went weak. You are as timid as a mouse and you are indeed our Lord Mouse. The jeers of his companions. The already angry mouse's face became even more embarrassed and flushed. Although when the giant python was mentioned, a trace of fear inevitably flashed in the mouse's eyes, but in the face of the ridicule of his companions, he still stiffened his neck and spoke forcefully, said, "Who is afraid? Isn't it just a long worm? Brother Wolf may have chopped it up and stewed it into snake soup. I just happened to catch this rabbit and make it into a pot of vegetables." The mouse pointed at the rabbit not far away with a ferocious face. But this dark kung fu rabbit only had a cute little head on its head, standing on the ground with 2 feet, holding a carrot in both hands, looking at the frustrated mouse with scarlet eyes, and a little rabbit mouth. The banging never stopped. Still watching, the other rabbit was not afraid at all, so he let it go and acted in such a mocking manner. The mouse, which couldn't stand the ridicule of its companions, instantly became angry. "I'm going to capture you and make spicy rabbit heads right now." The mouse drew out his dagger and shouted angrily. The powerful aura belonging to rank 2 flashed across his body, and his figure disappeared instantly. When he appeared, he was standing behind Kung Fu Rabbit with a dagger in his hand. With flash and backstab, he is obviously an assassin. You are the first rabbit who can force you, Master Mouse, to use my occupational skills. To be proud of. Next, come into my belly. The mouse had fierce eyes and a sharp knife in his hand, stabbing the rabbit's head without hesitation. The mouse's sudden backstab attack made the Kung Fu Rabbit stop chewing the carrots. He suddenly looked back, a sharp gleam flashed in his cute eyes, and he was about to take action. But suddenly, as if he had received some signal, the sharp look in his eyes disappeared. He just jumped up and jumped high in the eyes of the mouse in astonishment, easily dodging his backstab. What? The mouse's eyes widened. He never expected that his backstab would be dodged by a rabbit. However, before the mouse could react too much, a pair of rabbit's feet were placed directly in his eyes. The Kung Fu Rabbit used the mouse's face as a stepping stone, kicked off his legs, and flew away into the distance like a sharp arrow, disappearing into the bushes. Plop! The mouse was kicked to the ground again. Ah! Don't run, you beast! Don't run away if you have the guts, I will skin you alive. The mouse was hysterical, and its incompetent and furious voice sounded in the jungle. Bang! A tall tree with a thick crown and a dense crown suddenly vibrated. Poof! A young man in white armor couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood after hitting a tree. Maid, it's so like a tiger being bullied by a dog. Even a chicken dares to bully me, the white wolf. If I hadn't been injured by that black-scaled python just now, how could I have been beaten to death by one of your chickens? The young man looked to be in his mid-20s, with a lean build and 3 marks on his face. The scratches looked as wild as a ferocious wolf, giving people a feeling that he was not easy to mess with. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, and his expression was even more ferocious. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.